Look, man, nobody can deny Shakur Stevenson's ability, his intelligence, his boxing skill, his athleticism, his strength, his footwork, his positioning. Shakur is to boxing what mac is to cheese, what peanut butter is to, jelly. Shakur and boxing are just meant to be. Shakur is a consummate pro. He's strong. He's fast. He has great punch selection. He stands there in the pocket. It's impeccable. His brain, his punch resistance, the ability to make you miss while still being in range, in his range, the way he tames you. He just understands boxing. He understands how to fight. He's just he's amazing. There's no way you can deny that he is probably the best, the next Terrence Crawford, the next big thing for boxing, right? Him, Junto Nakatani, Naoya Inoue. Under 30 or 30 age fighters, Shakur Stevenson is up there. The future looks bright. But there's still this, when I look at his resume, it's a good resume. It's diverse. He's fought a lot of great fighters with a lot of experience. And each fight isn't a microcosm of another. It varies. It's diverse. His game plan changes due to the situation, due to the awareness of what's going on, the flow of the fight, right? Valdez, Jeremiah Nakatalia, Joey Gonzalez, even the Japanese fighter. These are great fights. These are very good fighters, and Shakur is able to make it look so easy. Not many fighters can do that. Not many boxers can do that. There's only a select few, right? Like Naoya did to Fulton, like Bud did to Spence, how Shakur does it to Valdez. Shakur's up there. He's fucking talented. You can't deny that. But when you look at his resume and you compare him versus his contemporaries, right? To Tank, to Devin Haney, to Teofimo Lopez, right? To Naoya Inoue. It's not as dominant. It's almost as if he's been, in a sense, fabricated, right? Like they're taking it easy on him. What his contemporaries have able to do, Shakur is nowhere near the level of Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, in terms of accomplishments, in terms of, biting the apple and just be like, all right, bro, you the A side, whatever the case may be, I'm after legacy. Because Shakur could have been at least undisputed at 130. When he beat Valdez, he unified. But he could have fought Joe Cordina, right? He could have fought Hector Luis Garcia or, Oshaki Foster. But he decided to just fluctuate and play the pound-for-pound game almost like Tank Davis. See, Tank went to 140, fought Mario Barrios. That's a very good win. It's a difficult win, right? In terms of the high arm length, it's very difficult for Tank to beat really tall fighters like that. It's a tricky style, but it's not like he beat Josh Taylor, right? Tank was a champion at 135, but it's not like he beat Loma, Teofimo, or Devin Haney, right? Shakur is also playing the pound-for-pound game similar to that of Tank. So when I look at his resume, I'm like, bro, your contemporaries are outshining you. Devin has outshined you. Shakur might regret not taking that 25% that Devin Haney offered him because contractually, that's all he's entitled to. Based on the WBC, you're only entitled in terms of the mandatory. And if you're going to enforce it, only 25% of the cut. That's fair. Now, is that the value of what Shakur is? No, absolutely not. The value of him should be like 50-50, 60-40, right? But in terms of the legacy, in terms of the meaning, everything that Devin Haney did isn't for you to get 50-50 off of him. It's for you to, have to, his stipulations, Devin's able to enforce that upon you. That's why he paid all those sanctioning body fees. That's why he did what he did, going and traveling to Australia and fighting George Kambosos twice. He did all that not to give you 50-50. He did all that so he can basically send you a contract and you get the B-side aspect of it And if you want to be great, show me it ain't about the money. Shakur walked away. He said, I'm about the money. And now he's, basically trying to be an email champ, like the way everybody criticized Devin Haney. He's trying to play the political aspect of it. Be like, hey, man, you got to strip Devin Haney. He ain't a champion. He didn't want to fight me. Shakur's being outshined by the likes of Teofimo Lopez, by the likes of Devin Haney. His contemporaries are outshining Shakur. When you compare their resumes and accomplishments to what Shakur has done, even Navarrete, Shakur's best win being Oscar Valdez, Navarrete did it better. Everybody is doing it better than Shakur Stevenson. You see, Shakur, and you can tell it by his behavior, right? In the sense, he's very happy for Devin Haney, but at the same time, he wants what Devin Haney has. But you see, Shakur could have been in that same position. Maybe at not 135, could have done it at 130. But he didn't fight Joe Cordina. Hell, he didn't even make weight against Robson Conceição. Right? He was like 2 pounds overweight. 2.6, maybe 1.8. I'm not too sure exactly what he weighed in against Conceição. But that was a very good fight. That was a very good win for Shakur. But look where that leaves Shakur. He might regret not taking that 25%. He might regret it right now. Because had he beaten Devin Haney right now, 135, he would have became undisputed. Let's say they fight later down the road at welterweight. At least that's what Bob Arum has in store for them, right? It's like, oh, let that fight build up. It'll be a big fight as the welterweight. They might take an L from here and there. Something might happen, something tragic. Maybe somebody retires. Maybe somebody takes an L. Somebody, gets hurt. Or maybe they're a shell of themselves, and then another fighter up and coming like Mason Abdullah ends up being better than them. Tiger Johnson, Richard Hitchens. Who knows? There's always somebody lurking, working in the dark while everyone's getting this attention. These guys are grinding really hard. Shakur might regret not being undisputed right now. All right. He had the opportunity to bypass everybody else and not have to fight Lomachenko, not needing to fight Richard Comey, all these fighters. All he needed to do was get through Devin Haney. But I guess the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. I guess he was like, nah, bro, I want 50-50. Shakur isn't worth 50-50 based on what Devin Haney has done and accomplished, right? For instance, let me go to a different point. If Errol Spence were to fight Bud Crawford at 154, and he beats him, it's not as impactful. Well, no, that's not true. It would be as impactful, but it wouldn't hold the same significant moment had Errol won the first bout at 147. Simply because Errol would have been undisputed. If he beats Bud at 154, that's just I told you guys, man, I was just dehydrated, or I was too small, or whatever the case may be. It's not as significant because the belts aren't on the line. And this is what lets me know that the belts do fucking matter. And they matter because everything that Errol Spence has done at 147, all those mandatories that he had to fight, all those unification bouts, fighting one time a year, all that is represented in terms of that and those belts. See, the WBA belt, that's just a whatever belt. It's nice, it's black, it has gold, it has a crown. It's nice. But what's much more significant is the history and the meaning behind it. Errol was coming off a detached retina. He missed out on the Manny Pacquiao fight to essentially become a superstar. He fought Ugas coming off a year and eye surgery. Mouthpiece fell out of all that context is what makes the WBA belt significant. Sure, it might just be on a museum mounted up against the wall. Sure, it might just be an aesthetic, something that you strap up on your shoulder, on your waist. But that's not the meaning behind the belt. It's not the previous fighters who were unified or held that belt. It's about your meaning. It's about what you give context to it, right? The fight that when he went over to kill Brook over there and Liverpool, right? Or Sheffield, beating Kell Brook. That context is what gives those belts meaning. Shakur's going to miss out It's a small sacrifice of 25% to be able to beat Devin Haney and be the king of the throne, because you can be undisputed at 135, maybe in the future 140, and then maybe in the future 147. It's a small price. And then if you do beat Devin, you flip the tables on him, and guess what? Now you're worth 25%, Devin. I did what you did when you went over to Cambosis. I did what you were telling me to do. Anyway, what's going on, Speed?
Hey, what you doing? What's going on? You just woke me up. What's going on here?
Nah, nothing much, man. Just stating my opinion that Shakur might have missed out. Why 25% is a small sacrifice when it comes to that, man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Well, I mean, is it unfortunate? I mean, it's these fighters' pride that's fucking them over, fucking up their career, and somehow we, the boxing fans, are supposed to feel bad about it, right? Because at the end of the day, yeah, as boxing fans, we're not really supposed to care too much about uh, how it happens. We're just supposed to care about that it happens. So when we look at fights that can happen or that should happen because we desire them, uh, fights that never happen because we desired them, but the fighters' pride and other factors came into play. The one thing that we always have as a constant is that irrespective of who said what or who didn't do what to deserve a fight, we, the boxing fans, didn't get the fight. Now, the boxing fan really shouldn't care, how it happens, just that it should. But it is quite hard to not get involved nowadays in the modern sport of boxing because we have so many venues that are involved in the information dissemination, right? Where by before in the past, you heard all these stories about fighters in the past, the 60s, 70s, otherwise, just taking all the other fights and all the fighters and never leaving any men behind. The reason that happened is because there really wasn't that much involvement of, let's say, the media, or even if there was much involvement in the media, the fans didn't really partake in that conversation. The more astute fans, the more knowledgeable fans pursued this information. They just didn't receive this information with any facility. So back then, we just saw fighters taking on all fighters, and we didn't really understand how it was happening. We just knew that it was happening. So we were just more innocent. Nowadays, there is just much more widespread information, which tends to allow us to involve ourselves a bit more. In one sense, we become bigger fans of an individual because we know more about their history, the context behind their lives, and their involvement in the sport and whatnot. That's great because that makes lifelong fans of men. But this is a sport unlike any other sport, right? This is not a sports team. And a sports team, man, you can be a lifelong fan of a sports team because you're born into it or you live in that city or for whatever reason or another. But guess what? Men come and go. The one constant is the sport and the team itself never change, right? And boxing, we're not supposed to really become so fond of a fighter because they will leave the sport. And then where does it leave us? So the one thing that we can always just expect is that we should follow the sport and just expect these fights. Now, with everything that's said and done, now we have an opinion about why maybe Shakur is in the right for demanding more money. Why Devin Haney is ducking Shakur because the money isn't right and nobody would take it. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, we should sometimes walk away from all of the brouhaha and he said, she said, and just say, okay, who's the big dog in this division? Is it Shakur Stevens? Irrespective of what anybody thinks or what anybody's eye test says, or is it the man who's fought all the guys and has all the belts? And it's really as simple as that. The man at the top calls the shots. No ifs, ands, or buts. And if Shakur Stevens thinks he's going to tell the man at the top what to do, and we're going to call the man at the top a duck, I think he's in the wrong. And especially if we compare the careers of Shakur Stevens and Devin Haney, two great accomplished men. They've done different things in the sport. One guy has consolidated belts and three weight classes. The other one has just been dominant in one weight class. Differences of accomplishments, but nonetheless excellent repertoires. And a claim that we should apply for both. But we're talking about where they are right now. And we're talking about a division, which is 135. Nothing that Shakur Stevens did at 130 or 126 matters because the man at the top is Devin Haney. Devin Haney should call the shots, and Shakur should just accept them. Now, if Shakur doesn't accept them, I would say that the fight ain't happening because of Shakur Sugar Stevenson.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of what you do in a lower weight class doesn't really matter in the present of what weight class you're competing at right now. But you did say something amongst pride, right? And Shakur showed the opposite of that. He thought with his brain, which is not a bad thing, but he thought as a business person, oh, the fight will be bigger in the future. Oh, I'm worth more than 25%. I'm 60-40, 50-50. That's what he was demanding against Shakur, against Devin Haney. Now, when I look at, again, his contemporaries, right? Teofimo Lopez tried to be a businessman one time. Well, multiple times in his career, but that was a George Kambosos fight. He decided to, not take the earnings of what Bob Arum valued the fight, went on to Triller, and then what we know eventually went to DAZN, and eventually Teofimo lost all his belts, right? And his most recent fight against Josh Taylor, he was pissed off and he was feeling a certain type of way where he essentially retired for a little bit, or at least he announced his retirement. And one of the biggest reasons was, man, I'm fighting these killers, and guess what? I'm getting paid still $1 million. And there's these other fighters. He was very vocal and showed his displeasure of what other fighters are getting paid, and they're not taking the risks that he is doing. When I look at Shakur, that's exactly who Teofimo Lopez is speaking about. He's getting paid more than me, and he ain't fighting nowhere near the competition that I'm fighting, right? He's going to regret it. Look, man, there's a great way to fight somebody 2-3 times without having to have back-to-back rematches, right? Let's say, for instance, Shakur and Devin Haney fought at 135. Maybe later down the road, 4 years from now, depending on who wins that fight, kind of like Triple G and Canelo, they go different roads, and they fight again at 140. Hell, maybe even 147. And then they fight a third time as they're about to retire. I remember playing fucking Fight Night Round 3 on the Xbox 360, right? And there was this rival when you were like in the prospect phase. You're like 11-0, 12-0, and this dude is like, he's your rival, and you have to fight him 3-4 times, right, in the game, sometimes even up to 6 times. And every time you fight him, they give you a boost of your attributes, and you're able to level up your speed, your power, your punch resistance, all these things. There's that beauty that is kind of forgotten in the sport of boxing. Damn, bro, you keep coming in and out. What's going on, bro? Fix your internet. But yeah, man, when I look at Shakur, bro, he's messing up. Right now, if the WBC strips Devin Haney, okay, guess what? Now Shakur becomes a champion. Now, who is he going to fight? Just because if the WBC do strip Devin Haney, does that mean he's going to get more money on the negotiation table? What's the significance of stripping Devin Haney? In fact, you're going to probably make Devin Haney a little more salty. Just be like, you know what, bro? I'm not going to give you the easy road to become undisputed. I'm just going to relinquish all these belts after I beat Regis. So Shakur's like essentially biting the hand that feeds him, and it ain't going to fucking work to his benefit. Now, had he sacrificed the same way Devin, the same way Teo, the same way all these other fighters sacrificed, Shakur gets the opportunity to become undisputed and essentially takes all the belts and all the glory that Devin has. And guess what? That fight with Lomachenko that Shakur wants, Loma's going to want to have that fight now because he wants all those belts. And it just makes business sense. I don't know why Top Rank didn't re-sign Devin Haney or they signed him for a 4th fight versus Shakur. It all makes sense. Why they should have made that fight next. rather than letting him go and walking over to the zone and fighting Regis. It just doesn't make sense. Yo, what's going on, Vince Vargas? He says, hey, guys, nothing much, bro. Just talking about Shakur Stevenson and how I think that he missed out on an opportunity for legacy, right? Not so much the paycheck, but the money will come later after he gets that victory over Devin, if he were to be victorious. But what do you think about that, Speed? Did you catch out anything that I said, or you kind of missed out because you was going in and out?
Yeah, the homie Ricky. Sorry about that, man. So yeah, you sent me the link. I was throwing a couple of fastballs to the kids. Unfortunately, I did not hear the intro. Which, by the way, your intros are excellent. I've said this before. I love how you set up the show that we will be having. So I unfortunately missed it because all I was able to get was the tail end of that soliloquy. But yeah, if I arrived at the right moment, I was able to understand at least the topic at hand, which I think is Shakur Stevenson missing out on an opportunity to fight at 135, all because of business sense or pride, and maybe what is perceived to be a consequential thing to the career of Devin Haney, which is whether or not it fares bad on him to walk away from a Stevenson fight. And I really don't think it does. Because, I mean, look, if what we hear about Devin Haney is correct, he's going to a higher weight class, which is, again, always a much more difficult thing because the men there are going to hit much harder. They're going to be much bigger than you. To fight men the likes of Matias, Progra, Taylor, and believe it or not, Romero. They're still bigger guys than what Devin Haney was fighting at 135, and we know this for a fact because one of Devin Haney's best wins was against Linares, the Venezuelan Japanese, who fought once at 140 because he's a little bit older. He's maybe nearing 40, if not that already, and he had a great career as a four-weight division in 135, 130, 126, so forth and so on. And he one day went to fight at 140 just to test himself, and he fought. He wasn't even a contender in the top 10. He got knocked out, and that is the reality of the sport. When you go to a higher weight class, you always risk getting violently educated, and why you should try to maintain weight and fight at a more advantageous division for you, and B, it's never easy to test anybody that's bigger than you, right? So Devin Haney is taking a risk by going up, but he's also betting on himself. He's betting on himself that people are interested enough to see him fight these bigger guys and that they will pay for it. I believe we will. I believe that there's a lot of people that are naysayers of Devin Haney and his accomplishments. I do believe people think he's a pillow-fisted, chinny fighter. And because of those things, they are incredulous and non-believers of this fella and his accomplishments. And they think he's, probably a flash in the pan that once truly tested against bigger men, it'll be demonstrated that he was never that good. So those people will pay.
All right,
And then
so
there's
hold on. So let me just, be a little more elaborative. So Jorge Linares was what? A 126, 130, 135 fighter, right? And he tested
Yes.
waters at 140. He got knocked out, bro.
Violently.
One round by Pablo Cesar Cano.
Yeah.
He got dropped 4 times in the first round, bro.
Yeah.
That lets me know that Jorge Linares is chinny. That's what chinny means. Chinny means to be what Amir Khan is. That means if you throw a sponge at that dude's face and you clock him right in the kisser, guess what? Yeah, his legs become spaghetti monsters, bro. Jorge Linares was hella chinny against Pablo Cesar Cano. Cano is he's a pretty good hitter. He's like Humberto Soto. I don't know if you remember Humberto Soto, but I believe he fought
Yeah.
Thurman once.
Was it Humberto Soto Carras?
I don't know about his last name, but
Is he the
Humberto
guy who
Soto is a
fought
really good,
Keith Thurman?
you know, tight, good little fighter. And so is Pablo Cesar Cano. Like they're almost like Gabe Rosado. So they got a little bit of, they have a lot of heart, they have good skill, but I don't think they ever became a champion. But anyway, Devin Haney, the reason I bring that up and mention that name is because Devin Haney, this is going to move up to a second weight class. That would have been Linares' fourth weight class.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Haney, as we know, is huge for 135. He what he rehydrated on that Lomachenko fight. That's how a 140 pounder looks like. Mind you, he's been making that weight class since he was 15 years old. 10 years after the fact, it's not very easy to make that weight cut, let alone he's very big for that weight class. So everything about saying, oh, he's undersized for 140, absolutely not. In fact, he still might be big as fuck for 140. All right. Same thing with Regis. He's been campaigning at 140 his whole career, right? And if you look at Regis, he don't really look that big. All right. I say all this because all the skill is at 135. The 140 pounders are very basic. They're not that great in terms of the skill of what we've seen at 135. Look no further than Teofimo Lopez. He had a harder time at 135 than he's had at 140 in terms of the elite level, right? Like he had a harder fight with Nakatani than he had with, Josh Taylor. He had a harder time with Lomachenko when Lomachenko started to let his hands go than he did with Sandor Martin, right? Because in Sandor Martin, yeah, he might have dropped him maybe once or twice, but it was tricky. It wasn't a tough fight, right? Like where he's getting cut in all this nature. Fuck is texting me, man. Anyway, all the talent has been at 135. If you compare the best talent at 135 versus 140, 135 has it's better, bro. Shakur, right? You got Devin. At one point, Teofimo Lopez. Lomachenko. The list goes on. At 140, who are you going to give me? Subriel Matias? Who has Matias beat? Like, if I mention the names, you might not know who he's fought. Jeremiah Ponce, right? That's Matias's last known fighter. 30-0, 20 knockouts. But if you go look at his resume, you can't tell me who he's knocked out. You might give me Louis Ritson from the UK. That's about it. Everybody else, I don't even think that those fights been televised unless you're in the Argentina servers, right? When I saw Jeremiah Ponce, he threw like 150 punches in the first round. Incredible. But guess what? He blew his wad early. The fight only went 5 rounds. That showed me inexperience. That showed me that even though your record is 30-0 with 20 KOs, that's like 70% knockout ratio. It also lets me know against a tough contender like Matias, you can only last 5 rounds. You don't know how to tame your punches. You don't know how to count your punches. You blew your wad out early. Hell, you don't know how to breathe. You don't know how to control a fight. You thought you were going to get rid of him in the first round, and you only lasted 5.
Yeah, but
Devin Haney
yeah. So you're making a great point here.
And when I look at Matias right now you
I'm gonna mute you.
my knowledge a little earlier today that he had killed a man, right? Maxim Darashev. So I didn't know.
Yeah, that happened about 5 years ago.
Okay, so you said 5 years ago?
Like around 5 years ago, pre-pandemic, maybe a year and a half, two prior to that. Both undefeated.
So when I look at Matias, I look at a guy that can't get around a jab. Okay, I also look at a guy that's willing to take 100 punches, damn near fucking 7 uppercuts in a row thrown by Jeremiah Ponce. I don't think you can do that against Devin Haney. See, right now, Devin Haney's barely getting to his man strength. Hell, he's depleting his mass. He's depleting, lifting weights and muscle, just trying to make 135 to establish his legacy before he starts fighting these quote-unquote bigger guys at 140. Anyway, take it away, bro.
Yeah, so what I was saying is, yeah, you're right. I would say the perception of what division between 135 and 140 has the more skillful fighters, the ones that can do more things or show more things. Yeah, I would say, of course, with the likes of counter punching uh, prowess like Teofimo Lopez, who now is actually at 140, but he was at 135 is where he started. Then you have the likes of one of the best fleet of foot southpaws and Lomachenko, one of the best all around pure boxers, and Shakur Stevens just having been introduced to that weight class fight prior. Aggressive, come forward, Mike Tyson style peekaboo fighters like Isaac Cruz, um, George Cambosos, explosive, countering, um, overall well-rounded fighter, nothing special. And then one of the guys that a lot of people think he's one of the best skillful fighters in the world, but just never test himself to it really, which is Gervonta Tank Davis. Yeah, I would say 135 has is perceived to be the division with the more talent that has a greater display and array of skills. But can we look at the fights in 140 and 135 and say who's making the more fights happen? Right? I mean, we have all these aforementioned fighters. We have these aforementioned fighters at 135, but who really have they fought between themselves besides Devin Haney and Lomachenko? Uh, I mean, you have Shakur Stevens that hasn't fought any of them for whatever reason or another, politics, or he just barely arrived, whatever. He hasn't fought any of those guys. Gervonta Davis hasn't crossed the street to any of those guys. Lomachenko has fought both Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez, so he's like the guy who's taking on everybody. Otherwise, there's a lot of talent right there, but they're just not fighting between themselves. Now, I remember just a few years ago,
same could be the same could be said for 140.
Wait. Yeah. We'll get there. But just a few years ago, it was being discussed as if the 135 division was the likes of the marvelous four. The four kings. We had, it was perceived to be Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard all over again. That never happened. And I don't hear anybody comparing this division to the Four Kings now. Why? Because they never fought. Now, if we look at what happened at 140, right? We had men such as Taylor and Ramirez and Progra, except Ramirez, right? But they all participated in the World Boxing Super Series. They all fought between themselves. Eventually, somebody came out on top, consolidated belts. They all fought for them, and one guy came out triumphant as an undisputed fighter. Now, Devin Haney became undisputed fighter without fighting all of those guys at 135 either. But yet at 140, most of those guys all fought between themselves. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, you have more skills, but it ain't happening at 135. They got skills, but they ain't used to it.
Unfortunately, at 135 and at 140, there's only like 2 or 3 fighters that are going to take all those fights. So, for instance, Teofimo Lopez has been taking all those fights. At 140, Josh Taylor fought Jose Ramirez. He fought Rodriguez. He fought Jack Catterall. He fought all those guys. But in that tournament, Jose Ramirez didn't join the tournament. Neither did Arnold Barboza. Neither did Arnold Barboza. Neither did Maurice Hooker. Neither did Matias. Neither did essentially Jose Pedraza has been the one that's fighting all those dudes. He's fighting Chon. He's fighting Lomachenko. He's fighting Ramirez. He's fighting all those guys. Arnold Barboza. He's fighting all those guys at 135.
But you see how many you just mentioned. You mentioned Progra. You mentioned Progra, Taylor, Cepeda.
The only one that's fighting all those guys is essentially Lomachenko. Lomachenko is the one that's fought Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez. He's the one that might be fighting Shakur. He might be the one, you know what I'm saying? So there's only 1 or 2 fighters that are fighting one another. There's not a fucking gauntlet or a roulette that's going on that these guys are fighting one another. They don't. At 140, you don't see that either. You see, again, Teofimo Lopez fighting Sander Martin.
Yeah,
Josh Taylor,
but again,
Ramirez.
you said you said 135. You said 135. Basically, you got Lomachenko. At 140, you had Cepeda, Progra, and Taylor, who fought basically everybody. That's 3-1, buddy. And then the procurement of the undisputed was much more harder at 140 than it was for Taylor than it was Devin Haney for 135. You see. So what I'm trying to say is, yeah, you got way more skillful names at 135, but the fights ain't happening as 140. Maybe it's just a little nudge over. Nonetheless, it's just a harder weight class at 140. Not only because of how they're moving and the fights that have happened historically, but also because of the power. You see what I'm saying? For all the skill that you mentioned at 135, I don't know if they're as powerful as Progra. The champions that held belts at 135 are as powerful as Progra or Taylor or Ramirez. That's up to debate. Maybe somebody thinks differently than me. Maybe they think Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney are just much more powerful contenders with a heavier hand at
Well, I'll say
135. I
this.
don't think that's true.
Check this out. Who's 140's biggest puncher?
Well, it was. I would say it was Taylor.
Okay, all right. So stop
Now
right
it's
there.
probably
Just
Lopez.
right there.
It's probably
You can either
Lopez.
give me Matias, Jose Ramirez, or Josh Taylor. Do any of those guys hit harder than Tank Davis?
But which Tank Davis? Tank Davis at
It
135,
don't
bringing
matter.
up
Any
130
Tank Davis.
fighters. No,
Any
no, no,
Tank
no, no.
Davis.
Wait. It's because we're talking about what Tank
Hold
Davis.
on. Just make it simple. Those three guys that I mentioned, or you just mentioned Josh Taylor. Is Josh Taylor a bigger hitter than Tank Davis? And the answer is no. Because I'm giving you the best hitter at 135, Tank,
Well,
and you gave me
yeah.
Josh Taylor.
Okay. Well, let me ask you something. If you bring a 135, let me see, maybe a 135 pounder
Yeah,
to
Teofimo
140.
Lopez just became a
No,
135.
but a baby bell holder. Or maybe not even a bell holder like Isaac Cruz. If
I
you
don't
bring
know
up Isaac Cruz to
who's both of
135,
them.
wait
There's
up,
no baby belt
135, bring
holder.
Isaac Cruz.
Devin Haney is undisputed. Who's the baby belt holder? What is that?
Well,
Like Zepeda? Is
there
he the
was Garcia. Hector Garcia was a baby bell holder at
That's at
130.
130.
Yeah, and Devin and Tank Davis brought him up to 135 to knock that guy out. You see what I'm saying? That's not a real champion, by the way, and he's bringing a guy up. Are we talking about that guy? Because then I would say, what if you bring the same guy? Let's say somebody the likes of Isaac Cruz, who fights at 135, bringing up to 140 to fight somebody like Matias or Progra. Who do you have on that?
Well, I don't have to give you Pitbull. I can give you Devin Haney. He's fighting Regis.
Well, we don't know because he hasn't signed.
I don't. It doesn't matter. Let's just say they both signed, right? Regis has signed on his end. Devin Haney is just looking to fight, get the proper fight date. So again, the 135 division, right? When you look at 140, 140 is fucking stacked, right? You have Gary Antoine Russell, you have Barbosa, Jack Catterall, Matias, Sander Martin. You have amazing names. Elvis Rodriguez, right? Lindolfo Delgado. I guess Brandon Lee, right? You got Richard Hitchens, Montana Love. You have Jose Chon Cepeda. You have some bad motherfuckers at 140. Like you do. At 135, you got maybe a handful of fighters. You got Tank, you got Devin, Shakur, Loma, Camaron Cepeda, Raymond Murataya, Frank Martin, Pitbull Cruz, George Cambosis, Jermaine Ortiz, Edwin de los Santos. I guess you could want to throw in there Keyshawn Davis. You got some, it's on par. But those 135 pounders have done it in multiple divisions. So when we're talking about skill level, there's no one more talented at the 135 division in comparison to the 140 division. At 140 division, all those guys that I named, besides Teofimo Lopez, who's now Lino and Ring, I guess we can consider him a 140 pounder. Well, not I guess we have to consider him now as a 140 pounder. The 135 division, skill for skill, is much improved, and they've shown to be themselves when they do fluctuate in weight. At 140, all those guys that I mentioned, none of them have tested the welterweight division. Josh Taylor never did. Jose Ramirez never did. Mind you, these guys are damn 6 feet tall. Teofimo Lopez is the king at 140. So Teofimo Lopez is a way bigger puncher than Matias. He just bodied Josh Taylor, bro. He fucking ejected himself throwing Superman punches in midair, leaping with jabs and hooks, styling all over Josh Taylor. Now, I only say this not to shit all over Josh Taylor. Bro, Josh Taylor's run of Undisputed has been incredible.
It's probably the most incredible one ever.
It's great. It's like, you can't fucking deny that.
Yeah, one of the most incredible, if not the most incredible, undisputed run in all of sports, except it could have been toppled by Errol Spence if he had beaten Terence Crawford. But nonetheless, it stands that yes, Taylor had the greatest run at undisputed, as good as Canelo's.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Shakur Stevens, going back to Shakur, right? I don't want to deviate too much and talk about 140 and 135.
Yeah.
Shakur Stevens overrated?
What do you mean overrated?
What I mean, again, if you compare him to his contemporaries like Teofimo, like Devin Haney, Josh Taylor, and all these fighters, right? Skill for skill. I mean, not skill for skill, because Shakur's skill is up there. But in terms of body of work, is Shakur Stevenson overrated based on his body of work?
No, I think he's properly rated.
Okay, give me one fight where you're like, damn.
Well, remember that see, what you're trying to get me to do is to condition the fights. And remember what I always tell you about conditioning fights from my end. I don't like to do that. I like to take things for face value.
Okay, so let me give
a win is a win is a win.
Let me give you
a win is a win is a win.
Who dominated Valdez more, Shakur or Navarrete?
Well, Navarrete.
Okay, then. So you can say, like, yeah, Shakur's win was dominant. He outboxed the shorter fighter as he's supposed to.
Yeah.
Navarrete put a fucking ass beating as the bigger man, as you're supposed to do so on the smaller.
Yep, I agree. Yes, but again, styles make fights.
And the reason I bring up Valdez is because that is Shakur's on paper, right? What essentially gave him the pound for pound status of a pound for pound fighter, right? Navarrete, in short, that victory that Shakur has over Valdez, it didn't age well. Navarrete fucking snatched his fucking heart and his soul.
I agree.
You see what I'm saying?
So, yeah, I agree.
Who is Shakur's other best fight that you like? Oh, that's the next one.
Well, one of the ones that I really do appreciate from him was when he fought. I don't know if it was a stablemate, but it's definitely one of his buddies and mentors. And Bud's stablemate, Jamel Herring. Jamel Herring hadn't lost maybe one or two at most. And I think he had lost one. And I think it was by devastating fashion. He got discouraged for a bit, walked away from the sport. He went into a rut of depression, if I'm not mistaken. Then he realized that boxing is the only thing that was providing salvation for him. He is a man of war. So he realized that he needs some antagonism in his life. He needs some confrontation. So he came back to the sport and he picked himself up from that. I mean, I remember that, when Jamel Herring took on Stevenson, he had just most recently procured a belt. So he ended up fighting Shakur Stevens then, and he had just came off of an excellent win against Carl Frampton, which again, if I'm not mistaken, Carl Frampton got completely outclassed by the bigger.
Carl Frampton is like a 126, he's a short, small fighter.
A short, small fighter, but was
fighter.
But well, how many belts did? Yeah, but how many? What is his record of body? Is it an accomplished one?
So it's Oscar Valdez, Jamel Herring, and who else on, like, Joel Gonzalez is a good victory. But in all of those fights and fighters that Shakur has beaten, they have not aged well. They don't stand the test of time. Jamel Herring ended up like soon retiring after losing to Jermaine Ortiz his next fight. Now that doesn't mean that those aren't great victories. No, they're good victories. But again, the reason I ask is he's overrated is because when you compare him to his contemporaries, he's being outshined, bro. People are forgetting about Shakur. You see what I'm saying? He's
Yeah,
like,
so I
Shakur,
say he's.
check this
See,
out.
the thing is about.
Look, check this. Check it. Shakur's going on this fucking tirade, or he's building hype. Oh, Devin Haney's ducking him. Oh, Lomachenko's ducking me. He's basically saying, I'm the most ducked man in fucking 135. Nobody wants to fight me, right? But the reality is, everybody wants to fight him. Everybody. Frank Martin wants to fight him. Devin Haney sent him a contract. Lomachenko might not want to fight him. He basically saying he's like reluctant to fight him. A lot of people want to fight Shakur, right? Maybe not Camarón Zepeda, but I'm pretty sure he'll fight Shakur. Just Golden Boy, and then like, bro, I'm not gonna feed you my fighter. People Cruz,
Yeah.
bro. People Cruz don't want to fight nobody but Tank Davis, so it's not like he's ducking them. People are forgetting about Shakur. He's got to go out there and make interviews and make headlines and make shorts to grab people's attention. Because again, his contemporaries are outshining him. Navarrete just outshined his best dominant victory against Valdez. Navarrete did that. Right?
Yeah, so see, what I'm saying is this, right? What I'm trying to say is that overrated, and look, overrated to some, yes. If we go just based off what some people say, that are
No,
just
no, I'm not talking
easily
about what people
impressed.
say. His
Uh,
body of work, bro. His body of
No,
work.
but that's what I'm saying. Overrated would indicate that a person is not considering his body of work. You see what I'm saying? You're jumping the gun, bro. You're thinking that I don't understand what you're talking about. What I'm
I
saying
don't
is
know
that
that you are. Listen.
no, people are overrating him if they don't consider his body of work. That's your argument, right? If you consider his body of work, then he should be less rated than where he is right now. And some people have him on the pound for pound list for what you consider to be a mediocre or a subpar repertoire. That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. And if that's what you're saying, then yes, I would agree that his body of work is not as it does not stand in comparison to some of the other fighters that are around near or around his weight class. I get that, but I could understand why some people may rate him higher because what he has done in three divisions is nothing to sneeze at. And not only that, he also has the backup of his skill set, which allows these people that do not consider his body of work to use their eye test and imagine the impossible or the possible for him, which is, oh, he could beat this guy and he could beat that guy and he could beat this guy and he could beat the smallest guys and he could beat the biggest guys, because they're only looking at a jaded view of his record and the eye test. So yes, there are some people that overrate him. I agree with you that he is. I think he's rated properly.
His skills are impeccable, right? But again, this is why I'm trying to tell you, and you just keep ducking the fade. He's overrated because against his contemporaries, okay, everyone's outshining him. His fight versus Nakatalia, it went the distance, 12 fucking rounds. Raymond Murataya knocked that same dude out in 2 fucking rounds, bro. Navarrete just destroyed half the face of Oscar Valdez. Jamel Herring, all these fighters, sure, you can say, oh, well, fucking Shakur Stevenson beat these guys first. But these other guys are beating the same fighters that Shakur's doing in better fashion. So, yes, Shakur's skills and intelligence is amazing. But if it's so amazing, it would be devastating defeats. To the point where Valdez right now, if he looks himself in the mirror, he's like, fuck, bro. My fucking face is still destroyed. I'm still pissing out blood. This pus is still coming out. I have a fucking eye patch looking like a pirate right now.
So let me ask you something. What is Emmanuel Navarrete's body of work that you're so impressed by?
Isaac Dogbo.
Okay.
That's an amazing fucking victory. It's aged well.
Okay.
Robeisy Ramirez couldn't knock out Dogbo. And Navarrete dropped his ass like fucking 5 times in both
But
fights.
did Robeisy Ramirez beat him?
Yeah, he beat him.
Okay,
Eight-4 probably.
Isaac
8-4.
Dogbe. Wait up, Isaac Dogbe has never been able to recover from the beating at Emmanuel Navarrete's hands, right? He's never been able to get a belt after that.
No, I don't think he's been champion
No, he
himself. No.
hasn't. He hasn't, and other men have beaten him. So what does that say about him? Listen, Isaac Dogbe, victory for Navarrete age well for him? No,
Yes,
because the
because
guy's never been
nobody
able to
has
pick
beaten him.
himself up for that.
No. Yes, because nobody has beaten him in the fashion that
No,
Navarrete
oh
beat
no.
him.
See, okay, no. See, that's
That's
the
what I've been
thing,
trying
though.
to tell you, bro.
No,
You're
no, no,
not
no.
listen.
You're impressed. Look, you're impressed
Listen,
by
hold on,
the
hold on,
guy
hold on,
that
hold on.
comes
Let me tell
forward
you.
and beats
Check
his
this out.
opponent.
Well, wait, time. That's just one person, Dogbo. Okay, I gave you Oscar
Don't
Valdez.
f- don't
Let me give you
don't forget
somebody
that
else.
Emmanuel.
Hold
Don't
on,
forget
check
that
this out.
Emmanuel
Let me give
Navarrete
you.
got stopped by
Listen,
Liam Wilson.
listen. No, he didn't get stopped. Listen, he got dropped.
20-second count.
It don't matter. Check this out.
It does matter.
He also beat Ruben Villa.
And what has Ruben Villa done in the sport again?
He beat Alberto Venado Lopez. And who
Okay,
is Alberto
that
Venado
has aged.
Lopez?
Wait
Guess
up.
what?
That has aged well for Villa, not for
No,
the
that
other way
has
around.
aged well for Navarrete. All these guys that
Why?
Navarrete is beating,
What?
they're still
Bro,
there,
you can't
bro.
do that. You do. No, there is no such thing as triangulation, all right? There is no such
No,
thing.
bro. I'm telling
You
you, bro.
cannot give. No, no, no. Listen, bro. You cannot give Ruben Villa's credit to Navarrete. You can't do that. No, one man's accomplishment is one man's accomplishment. When and if they ever fight the same guy, then you can compare. Like, for example, it's a valid point that you're making comparing some of the fighters that Oscar Valdi that Emmanuel Navarrete and Shakur Stevens share, because you can compare them and say, yeah, in that case, Emmanuel Navarrete is underrated and Shakur's is overrated. But you can't give any credit that Ruben Villa fought for and hand it out to willy nilly to Vaquero for just because. You can't do that, bro. That's foul.
Bro,
That's foul and
bro,
unhealthy for the sport.
listen. Everybody does this. Listen to me, bro. Listen to me.
I
This
don't.
is hold on. Time, bro. I let you talk, bro. Listen. You just talked about, oh, you can't do that triangulation shit. Well, skill,
Going on.
a pound for pound fighter, a pound for pound list is based on essentially the triangulation method. Your eye test. Oh, this guy does this, he does this, he does this, he's better than this guy's skill. It's the same fucking exact thing. What I am trying to tell you is Shakur's wins don't age well. All right? His more dominant performances don't age well in comparison to his contemporaries. That's one argument. Two, these other fighters are dominating the fighters that Shakur's fighting, much more impressive than him. Three, based on his modern fighters in or around his weight class, they're accomplishing more than Shakur. So yes, skill for skill, Shakur can probably beat all these dudes. But your body
Yeah,
of
let
work,
me
hold on. But your body of work, which you don't want to compare, his resume is fucking weak in comparison to these other fighters that are doing what he's done, and they're doing it in better fashion, bro. What are we talking
look,
about?
bro. Look. You're speaking crazy, bro.
Wait, hold on,
You're
time
speaking
out, time out.
crazy.
Whoa, listen. And then you said one thing.
I
You
barely
can't
said one
say
thing.
what
You
Ruben Villa, hold on, you can't say what Ruben Villa has done and give all that credit to Emmanuel Navarrete. Everybody says Floyd Mayweather's victory of Canelo Alvarez has not only aged incredibly well, but it has shown how great and masterful Canelo is and how much you have to elevate Floyd Mayweather for beating him at the age of 35, beating a 22-year-old, bro.
Yeah, but you know what? Guess what?
What is the
Ruben
difference?
Villa. Listen, Ruben Villa has not yet accomplished what Canelo has. So you can't compare apples and oranges, bro. Look, I love Ruben Villa. I believe he's gonna be a champion. I believe he's gonna be holding more than just one belt. I believe he's gonna be able to go up to 130 and get a belt there. I see great potential in the young man. I do, but he's not Canelo Alvarez. You see what I'm saying? Don't be. You just made a whole quantum leap, bro. You're saying that Mayweather beat Canelo Alvarez, who is now the biggest cash cow and most accomplished fighter in the sport, and that has aged well for Mayweather. When Navarrete beat Ruben Villa, who Ruben Villa has not yet done not one little thing on the sport, and how is that going to fare well for Navarrete? It's not. It's not aging well for him. Not yet. It will age well for him once Ruben Villa becomes a champion. I believe
or
that
remains a
wholeheartedly
top
that he's going to
fighter
become
or
a
a top
champion.
contender, or remains a top fighter or a top
See,
contender.
so now you're belittling your criteria.
No, bro. Listen,
You're starting to move the goalpost and bring it down. You're trying to say, look, it's getting a little more
that's the
narrower
reason
instead of
why I brought
expanding.
Isaac Dogbo. Is because even though this guy's nowhere near accomplished as Canelo, no many fighters are going to be. What I'm saying is these guys' fights have aged well. When the fights that Shakur has had, his
Look, there's two
opponents do
ways of
not.
looking at it. There's two ways of looking at it, right? But they all come.
Hold
Look,
on, Sharon. Hold on, whoa. My bad, bro. Listen, Joey Gonzalez is the only one on Shakur and Navarrete's that have aged well. Okay, Christopher Diaz, they have that same similar opponent. They have it's decent. I like Christopher Diaz. He's a good fighter. He can box. He's almost like a Pedraza. But they're no longer in the top 5 contenders. Joel Gonzalez, Ruben Villa, Isaac Dogbo, Valdez, all of these fighters, okay, they more or less have aged well for Navarrete, except obviously Oscar Valdez because he just got his ass fucking beat. I don't even know where Valdez comes from here. But again, the opponents on Navarrete's resume, bro, they've aged extremely well. They're still in that contender phase looking to chase gold. Joel Gonzalez, he's fucking fighting. That's the best win for Shakur and Navarrete, in my opinion. Joel Gonzalez, bro. He gave them
yeah,
gold.
okay, yeah. Listen, bro, it's quite simple, bro. It's quite simple, bro. It's very simple. When a fighter, especially a champion, loses to another, and then that losing former champion is able to pick himself up from the dirt and move on and accomplish great things, that fighter is a great fighter, and that will age well for the champion who beat him. Okay, but there are some champions that once you beat them, all it takes is one defeat and they are a shot fighter. Now, I don't think that Dogbe is a shot fighter. I don't think that Oscar Valdez is a shot fighter. I'm not saying that they never recover from those losses because those losses at the hands of Shakur Stevens were so devastating. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that once you lose, you can become accustomed to losing. You may think you have it in you to continue fighting, but the reason uh, 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 there are more foremen and journeymen and gatekeepers in the sport than returning champions is because it's easier to think like a loser and stick in that mentality than it is to become a loser and then a winner once again. You see what I'm saying? So the reason why I give fighters credit like Regis Progra, who lost by Taylor, who is questionable or otherwise, or any fighter that loses a belt and then comes back to become a champion again. I give those guys credit because they were able to overcome and redeem themselves. Other fighters have not been able to.
Means.
Yeah, but you can't give credit for beating a champion who's never been able to pick himself up again. Did Oscar Valdez get a belt?
A couple of names of guys that
listen.
Are on the cusp of becoming champions, bro. What are you talking about, dog? Look, Ruben Villa
becoming champion is not the same as being a champion. Becoming, oh goodness, are you changing the dialogue, bro? Do you understand that on the path to becoming a champion is not the same thing as being a champion? Can we agree on that?
Okay, so for instance, Lomachenko, is he still anybody that beats Lomachenko? That fucking fighter on that resume is aging well, right? Yes, because even though he's like, for example, Teofimo beat him. Even though Vasil hasn't been able to become a champion again, it's still aging well because what? Because he still remains a top fighter. Dogbo still remains a top fighter at 126. Ruben Villa is the same thing. If you check the rankings on each of those 4 sanctioning bodies in their respective weight class, both of them are in the top 5, bro. They're aging well. For instance, look at Liam Wilson, a guy that Navarrete beat and knocked out eventually. Sure, maybe they gave him a standing 20 count or whatever the case may be. He still beat the 10 count. He got up at 9. And then he's like, pace over here, walk over here, put your mouthpiece back and all this shit. I guarantee you Liam Wilson is still in the top 10 and probably still winning fights. What I am trying to tell you, again, is very simple. When I ask the question, is Shakur overrated? Yes, he is overrated because in terms of his body of work, it's not standing the test of time. All the fighters that I just talked about, Navarrete, guess what? They're still there, bro. They're
Look,
still standing
this is what I'm saying.
prime
This
being
is what
top
I'm saying.
contenders.
This is
But
what I'm
what I am
saying.
trying to tell you, and it doesn't seem like you're understanding, is Shakur is trying to do this, is making publicity. Okay? He's going about trying to create taglines and headlines and interviews and these things because he's being forgotten, bro. Because his contemporaries are. You understand what I'm saying? He is desperate. He has no. There's no career for him right now, bro. He can't get the Devin Haney fight because he didn't want to take 25%. Lomachenko looked like he ain't gonna fight him and fight George Kambosos. Shakur is trying to play the email game, what everybody scrutinized Devin Haney, right, for doing when Loma didn't want to fight him, right? Didn't even send him a contract. Devin at least sent Shakur a contract, and Shakur basically laughed at it. Ha! 25%, bro. What are you talking about? It's 50-50. Everybody, Shakur is being forgotten, bro. It's pretty
Yeah,
simple.
no, and that's okay. And that's okay if he's forgotten because at the end of the day, according to
He's
you,
not
he's
okay,
an
bro.
overrated fighter, right? So why shouldn't people forget him? In fact, have people forget this guy that you're accusing of being an overrated fighter is the perfect thing. Wouldn't you agree? Because now, guess what? Now people aren't giving him that rating that you seem to think is misappropriated.
No, so now what he has to do is he's got to get that spunk back and beat all these dudes. And these dudes start off with Jermaine Ortiz, Austin Martin, Frank Martin, right? Edwin de los Santos. All these guys, especially Edwin de los Santos, he's the dark horse of the lightweight division. He's knocked out Rayo Valenzuela. Okay, that's incredible. All right, I didn't see his only loss with William Foster. I don't even think there's any footage up on YouTube. Okay, that's Edwin de los Santos' only loss, right? But he's essentially shown the goods. He's shown the power and the pop that's needed to knock the block off dudes at 135. That's Edwin de los Santos. No one talks about him, but he can essentially beat your favorite fucking fighters, as he's done so a few times already. So what I am trying to say is the reason why I say Shakur is overrated is not on the eye test or his skills. His skills are up there with the best boxer that boxing can offer, bro. But I'm saying his body of work does not speak to what his skills and people are giving him credit for. Okay, because they don't stand the test of time. It's okay to be like, yeah, he's overrated right now, right? He's got good wins. Joel Gonzalez, in my opinion, is his best win because Joel Gonzalez, I mean, I think he might just beat Venaldo Lopez, right? But what I am trying, I already said everything that I need to say about that matter, bro. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna.
but again, what you're doing is you're doing the equivalent, the equivalence of the eye test. You see, you're saying, I think this guy could beat this guy. What if this guy could beat this guy? And it's all just a figment of your imagination because none of these things have came to pass. Again, I like to look things at face value. I like to consider and quantify uh, victories, not use my imagination. My imagination is not the best, by the way. You can't trust my imagination
I'm not
because I
using my
lack one.
imagination, though. What are you talking about, dog?
You're talking. Didn't you just say that Joet Diaz, in your opinion, will
Yeah,
likely
but
beat
you're
Bernardo?
nitpicking a certain segment, and that's not even the crux
No, no,
of
no.
the
But you use
argument.
that though. You use that. And what I'm trying to say is I disagree with that kind of mentality. The fact that you think one guy
An
can beat
opinion is
another.
not imagination, bro. I just gave you resume, and
No,
you're just trying to make a
it's an
strong man
opinion,
argument
right?
about imagination. What are you talking about, dog?
What I'm trying to say is this: look, everybody's got an opinion, but just because you have an opinion doesn't mean it's right. Uh, and the eye test doesn't matter. And there is a lot of value in in beating undefeated fighters. And now, the one commonality that we have between Navarrete and Shakur Stevens is that they share some fighters that, guess what? Shakur Stevens beat him first. And when
Yeah,
Shakur
he beat
Stevens,
him first. That's cool. Like, I'm not taking that away. You're beating the aura of an undefeated fighter that's never tasted defeat. But guess what?
yes,
You're just
that's an incredible
outboxing them.
thing.
No,
That's an
it's
incredible thing.
actually a very difficult thing to do. I'm not shitting on that,
Absolutely.
right? But there's outboxing them and just taking their O. And then guess what? There's what Navarrete does. and that's fucking take the spirit out of it. You see, there's a big fucking difference. When I take the spirit, the heart of you to continue, because these punches are fucking bullets. I'm pounding your fucking brain. It's shackling in your fucking skull. It's bouncing, concussion here, concussion here. I'm fucking blinded to the point where I don't even want to show my face to my kids. That's what Navarrete does, bro. He hits you with a body shot and you fucking fall and you're paralyzed. To the same fighters that Shakur just simply outboxed and beat first. See,
Yeah, who did he do that to though?
What was that?
Who did he do that to?
Everybody, bro.
Who?
Everybody.
He didn't do that to Villa.
Bro, he did that to Villa, bro.
No, he didn't. Villa was competitive the whole fight through.
Bro,
and actually, after he got dropped, after he got dropped, he actually kept getting better.
Navarrete made him go on his bicycle the whole fight after the second knockdown. He essentially just circled the whole time out of respect and out of survival tactics. The same way, instead of hugging for dear life, like Devin did when he got hit with that shot against Linares, Ruben didn't hug. You know what he did? He circled and ran away the whole fight and just trying to score little points here, little points here. That's what he
actually got those points though.
That's what Navarrete made Ruben do. If you watch any other fight, Ruben never fought like that. In all of the other 25, the 20 previous fights that he's had, or even after the fact, he's never fought like that. Navarrete made that boy get on his bicycle.
Yeah, I'm over here at Dick's Sporting Goods. I came to buy some baseballs, but I can't find these dudes. I told these guys to give him the money card and said go buy some baseballs and some gloves. But man, I gotta tell you, I know inflation is bad, but goodness, $350 baseball gloves. Like goodness, like they're beautiful objects, but jeez, I don't know if these kids hustle hard enough for me to buy them this,
Yeah, no, I feel you, bro. Yeah, my friend right now talking about baseball gloves, he just sent me his Wilson A2000 glove. It's like gray and red.
How much you want for it?
Nah, he probably bought that, but I knew it's probably like $400-$300. It's because it's real beautiful leather. It's beautiful leather. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like with my Mizuno glove that I have, the American Fly colors.
Yeah.
They stand the test of time.
Well, speaking of which, I
had that glove for 10 years, bro. I played adult softball with it, fast pitch, my high school days, bro. It stands the test of time. So when I tell you go buy a Mizuno glove, bro, that's resume.
And I have a Mizuno glove, and I just went to catch, play ball with them. Caught a couple of fast pitches right at the palm of my hand. There's no cushion. Mizuno, Bazuno, bro. That did not stand the test of time. That has my palm throbbing. I don't know what happened. I don't know if maybe I just caught it wrong. I should have used more of the webbing. I'm not too sure.
That's
but
exactly what happened. You don't catch
and you know what? I think it's
the palm of your hand. You catch it with
yeah, but it went right there, right in. Well, then again, it's not a catcher's glove. It's a fielding glove. But it caught it right in the palm, and man, oh man, that thing hurt. And so yeah, Mizuno is probably good for. Oh, and I have to get that thing thrown into some steam because man, that thing is stiff. Throw some leather protecting on that thing. But yeah, so look, all I'm trying to say.
Let me just do a little recap because I don't want you to be screaming all crazy at a public store. But
there's worse things like that. I live in California. There's crazier things that happen.
Just a little recap. Okay. Shakur should have taken that 25% to fight Devin Haney because of the legacy that he needs, bro. Okay. He could have became undisputed at 130 had he disciplined himself a little more to stay at that weight class. It's not like he outgrew it. He just didn't want to wait and make that weight class. There were bigger fish to fry at 135. There were much more significant fights at 135 than at 130. After he beat Robson, Conceição, and Valdez, he was complacent. He didn't want the Joe Cordina fight, even though he tweeted about it and they went back and forth like, man, that's going to be a good fight one day. But that one day never happened. Guess what? Might not never happened. That undisputed fight that everybody wants to see between Devin and Shakur, and it's simply because Baseball Reference, Shakur did not want to play ball. You see what I'm saying? He's ducking amazing fights, bro. Okay, so big deal that Lomachenko don't want to fight you, bro. Devin Haney wanted to fight you. He sent you a contract, which was quite generous, especially if it's an opening preliminary contract. There's always room for negotiation. He didn't want to settle, bro. He didn't want to settle. As the lightweight division proceeds, most of all those guys at 135, like Mason, Abdullah, Tiger Johnson, all these guys that are up and coming, they'll probably all settle at 140, maybe even at 147. But, bro, nobody wants to see Shakur Stevenson versus Devin Haney as welterweights when you can have it now. Nobody wants to see Tank Davis versus Teofimo Lopez at 147 when they can fight right now at 140, at 135. I don't understand why you can't fight. Like, for instance, Tank knocked out Ryan Garcia, right? At 135, 136 poundage. Let's say 3 years from now, they're still fighting. Make that fight at 140. Maybe Ryan gets bigger and he gets much more muscular. Make that fight at 147. If Tank can beat him at the smaller weight class, he sure as hell can beat him at a bigger weight class because it's the skills. It's not like Ryan's going to make these significant improvements. He might. We never know because he hasn't even had that fight with Derrick James yet. But as you can see, if he can't even fucking make Joshua any better than what Robert Garcia did, I don't know what tutelage and wisdom Derrick James is able to give Ryan that's going to make Ryan the next big thing for boxing. But
Yeah.
I just want to, go for it, bro.
Yeah, that's crazy. There is, look, just to answer your question right quickly, right? You said is Shakur Stevens overrated, and I'm just looking at it. I'm just saying he's rated. He's rated. He's overrated by some, not by me, because I don't think he's the most accomplished fighter in or around that weight class. One of them, absolutely. And I know that there's other guys doing it better than them. But yeah, I'm not like the biggest, proponent of Shakur Stevens. I won't hype him up more so than he already is. But I do say that he is a very skillful fighter. And with what he has done, I could see why some people think he has the potential to be one of the newest generation of fighters that will take and will assume the name a generational fighter. But he has yet to prove it. He has to take on much more fights, and for us to believe that he is better than everybody, I do agree. He has to be more destructive. See, that's one of the most pathetic things that this sport offers, right? That a person can be so talented and so much better than the opponents that he's facing, that he decides to just play it safe. For one, it's not going to go well for his career because a lot of people think that kind of fighting style is boring. Some people call it the sweet science, but I don't think they're willing to put $80 to watch a fight where some guy is just tagging another guy, obviously superior than the other guy, but yet fighting so cautiously, almost like if he's an amateur or in the Olympics. We pay big money for violence. I've always said that we pay big money for violence, and I'm not too sure if Shakur Stevens is the guy to provide that violence that our dark cards needs.
Right. Let me put it to you like this: going on your stance on destruction. All right, that's where the true talent lies in. For instance, if let's look at one of my favorite fights of like the past decade, Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua. All right, let's look at and compare both fighters' victories. What's more impressive? How Anthony Joshua beat Andy Ruiz, 1-2 hugging, 1-2 leaning, 1-2 running, knowing that you're 6'6", right? Outboxing with your longer arms a guy who's essentially 5'10", 5'11", or is that as impressive? Or what Andy did to Joshua, dropping him 3 times and putting him on his ass in the manner that he did, much more impressive. Andy Ruiz, bro. There's no question. So when I try to tell you that Navarrete did what you're supposed to do to a smaller man, and Oscar Valdez is much more impressive due to destruction of a man's face, of his spirit. Okay? When all Shakur did was outbox him, spin him, turn him. That's what you're supposed to do when you're the bigger, taller fighter. You're not gonna fight the smaller man's fight, right? But that's not impressive. That's like predictable. So when Bud Crawford does that destructive act on the taller fighter, the perceived bigger fighter in Errol, that's 10 times much more incredible, memorable. You see, you're going to remember Navarrete, what he did to Valdez, what what Andy Ruiz did to Anthony Joshua, what Bud did to Errol. You're going to remember those acts of destruction. Bro, that was the atomic bomb explosion, bro. Yo, what's going on, Drew?
Hey, what's up, man? Honestly, I did not think you were gonna go live, but just got back from the boxing gym, so I had to get that little workout in. But
yeah, you do your thing, bro. I gotta use the restroom. Y'all carry the conversation.
Okay. What's the subject today, man?
So he's let me just break it down for you. He said the homie Ricky thinks that Shakur Stevens is overrated. I say he's rated adequately, but I do agree with his point overall, which is one, as a fan, I want ultimate violence, and Shakur Stevens is not providing it. And secondly, if I was a fighter and I lost to Shakur Stevens or Navarrete, I'd rather lose to Shakur Stevens.
Nah,
because I do not want to be going to the hospital after fighting Navarrete. Or
in that perspective, yeah. I mean, but if you look at was Elam, or what's his name, Liam Wilson, was he hurt?
Yeah.
Was he hurt? I don't think he was. So it's just.
Well, didn't he get stopped in the 7th or 8th?
Yeah, but it was just accumulation of punches.
Yeah.
Just, I don't think he was really hurt. It's just his defense wasn't up to par. But yeah, I think I wouldn't want to fight Shakur, because Shakur will demoralize you. He will make you feel like you're not working out enough. And honestly, he's the type of dude that will beat you regardless of your weight. Just because stylistically, like, this dude just, got it down. His distance, everything. Navarrete, I feel like I feel like he's beatable. He's very beatable. So in that case,
yeah. So let me flip it on you though. Okay, you said if you were to lose a fight to Shakur Stevens,
bro, Shakur Stevens would beat all our asses, dog.
Yeah, regardless. Right now, if I was like,
we're just a bunch of nerds right now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he's overrated. When the reality, if we seen him, we'd be like, "Hey, what's going on, Shakur? How you doing, bud?" You know what I mean? Like, come on, this is just nerd talking, bro. We just nerds right here.
Yeah, no, I don't want no smoke, Shakur. But I would like to avenge Ruben's loss. No, I'm just kidding. I'm fucking around, man. But yeah, no, I think I just feel like someone like Navarrete is very beatable, man. It just feels like he outworks his opponents. I feel like Shakur outthinks you. I think people like like Sean Porter. He describes his fights with Errol and Crawford really well. Like, he says he was like out, like he was he couldn't really, like, he felt like he was out, he was getting out dunked. I'm not sure if that's a word. He was like Crawford was out thinking him, and with and he felt confused. And then with Errol, it was more like his wind, and like his body wasn't responding well, even though he didn't get knocked down in that fight. It was just, more of a grueling fight. But I think in that case, I think Sean would prefer to lose to Errol than Crawford, because of how Crawford made him look. So I think it's very similar when we're speaking of Navarrete and Shakur, in a sense, even though they're different weight classes. I just don't want to. I don't even want to fight Shakur if I'm anybody in his division. So if I'm Kambosos, I'd stay away. But obviously, just I want Shakur to have his belt already. But
what?
But yeah,
let me interject, gentlemen. There's two ways of looking at it, right? So in the one case, you can say, okay, I would prefer to lose to Shakur Stevens because he's going to do everything so much better than me
Yeah.
that he's just going to demoralize me and I'm going to feel like I'm not working hard enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but we already know that a lot of people think Shakur Stevens is one of the greatest talents in this whole sport at the current moment.
Mm-hmm.
If you lost to him, it's almost expected,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's like, go ahead.
let me hit you with the flip side. The flip side would be this: everybody thinks that Emmanuel Navarrete is overrated and one of the worst fighters in current boxing history. If you lose to him and you get destroyed, what does it say about you?
Um, Pretty much says that he out hustled you. You know,
That
he's a workhorse. You know,
I think it would demoralize you, and then it would hurt you.
If
Yeah,
I'm being
I
completely
think it
honest,
depends how well you respond from his punches because I feel like Daniel I keep calling him Daniel Valdez, Oscar Valdez, um, Oscar Valdez wasn't. I mean, he wasn't on the verge of getting knocked out. He was his eye was getting closed up. I think that's a little different. You know, obviously, you know, more punches he would have gotten kind of dazed, but who knows, man? I think he would have, you know, stood on his feet a couple more rounds. You know, because Navarrete just wants to make that eye bigger or swollen up more. He doesn't really like try to like go for the knockout, you know. And I don't think he had the power to knock you out, you know. And I guess Shakur don't have that knockout power either. But like Brandon Real said about Manny Pacquiao, I don't know why I thought of this. It's like fighting an octopus, man. You know, this dude, so Shakur's on another level, man. His hand speed, they call it his twitch fibers. That's what's making him so different than everyone else. He's determining distance perfectly. You know, he's very masterful at it. They call it. You know, so yeah. No, I think I have I have better chances with Navarrete, and I'm able to showcase my talents if I was, you know, in that division better with Navarrete. You know.
yeah, I agree, bro. I would not want to step in the ring with Shakur mainly because I know that I'm not gonna land a punch on him.
Mm-hmm. And
You feel me? Where at least Navarrete, I have a puncher's chance where there's
yeah.
a little glimmer of hope where I might just hit him because he
Mm-hmm.
does leave himself a little exposed. And then also, I'm not short like Valdez, so I know I can catch him. But
Yeah.
obviously, he will still knock my block off. But with Shakur, I'm gonna get a headache. I'm gonna get desperate. I'm gonna lose mental
Mm-hmm.
focus because everything that I've been training, it's fucking been
Mm-hmm.
taken away.
And
Uh,
he showed a lot of frustration in the Shakur fight, pulling his glove in. So he showed a lot of frustration, which means he was flustering, and that's a different type of defeat, you know.
well, actually, when he was pulling his glove in, that's a great tactic
Yeah,
because
yeah.
her, he does like he sticks his arm out like a stiff arm, and
Mm-hmm.
you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah,
But he
he loves
forces
that.
you to maintain distance. And Valdez was like, "All right, bro, you're gonna leave your arm out there. Guess what? I'm gonna propel it, pull
Mm-hmm.
it towards me, so I can pop you with a double right hand." And it was
That.
actually pretty effective. If you go look at
Mm-hmm.
the conference, the post-fight presser, Shakur was like, "Hey, bro, I didn't know that Oscar had like that was a good little technique. I didn't even know he
Mm-hmm.
had a right hand like that."
Yeah.
Because all he did was taking away that left hook. But you
Mm-hmm.
get that speed up in here, man. Hey, I
But what
got
else?
who's
But
that
what else?
person that picked? Is that Maromero Pais or who is that right there?
No, that yeah, that there, yeah, he was another funny guy. Looked, he had that little hair going on, but that's Hector Macho Camacho from Puerto Rico. Well, he was from New York, but his family was from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Brave warrior, fought everybody. Um, in the good old days of Chavez, Oscar de la Hoya, Maromero Paez. You just go through all of his record, and you'll see so many names from back in the day that you're like, oh my goodness, that was the best time growing up, watching all of these fighters putting it down. When like how we were discussing about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
when people used to fight everybody without too much involvement of the news sources and the presenters and disseminators of information. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's Maromero Paez. I mean,
Well,
Hector Macho Camacho.
mm-hmm. Well,
Got you. So it is probably rumored, and more than likely, it might just happen. Frank Martin versus Shakur Stevenson. Right? That's a great
Nice.
fucking fight.
Great
That's a
fight.
great fight.
I
You
would.
guys got winning in what manner? And yeah, is it better than the Devin Haney fight?
Oh, I'll go first. I don't think it's better than the Devin Haney fight. I think it's a perfect fight for Shakur. I guess you can't really call it a tune-up, but seeing Martin's last fight, he really struggled with that dude. What's his name? Artem or Olympian. His last opponent gave him a hard time, and not really the same style as Shakur. But just seeing that made me realize how unpolished, or he's polished but unexperienced Martin is. He wasn't able to really adjust, and that's something you're gonna have to do with Shakur. You're gonna have to have you're gonna, in order to be Shakur, you need every single tool in the toolbox sharpened up. You can't have one tool that's dull, because that's what it was for Martin in his last fight. I think he said something about at the post fight interview with Jim Gray. He said something about not being able to land the right hand or something like that, and it sounded very un unconfident. That's something you don't say when you're, after a win. Pretty much saying how unconfident you felt um in your fight. So that kind of showed volumes right there, and I was like, okay, this guy isn't. We had high hopes in him. We called him the dark horse of the 135 division, but he just showed how unexperienced he is. Shakur would have been able to just demolish that dude. He would have been able to to actually redo a game plan and actually change up the game plan mid-fight. So I got Shakur unanimous, but just seeing Shakur react to some punches that Robinson Conseco landed on him. I seen him budge, man. I seen something. I'm reaching. I feel like, but man, I keep watching how he reacts after Conseco's hooks, and his knees buckled just a little bit, but I'm not too sure if Martin can able to establish that hook that he has. So just based off of the last fight and how good Shakur did against his last opponent from Japan, I believe. Forget his name. Yeah, I got him by unanimous. I think he can. Yeah, I think he probably smokes him, bro. And in reality, this is not, and it'll show. He'll show his levels, I believe, in that fight, and
Yeah,
then
one of the
he'll show why the Devin fight is bigger, and it'll show. It won't be that competitive compared to that fight.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm concerned about Frank is I don't know when's the last, because they're both southpaws, so I'm not too sure when's the last time Frank Martin fought a southpaw.
Yeah,
I know that he fought the guy in his last fight, Artem Harantunyan. I know that he fought Michelle Rivera, Jackson Ramirez, Romero Duno, and all these guys are all right-handed, right? But I don't know when's the last time he's fought a southpaw, let alone taller southpaw. Whereas Shakur, he fought at least Jamel Herring not too long ago, right?
Yep.
So he's fought in a southpaw. So I think that's going to be a little tricky in terms of punch selection, especially when it comes down to southpaw versus southpaw. We saw Errol Spence completely fucking get pieced apart by another southpaw, and he wasn't able to really make any adjustments.
Yeah. I heard Teddy Atlas say the biggest enemy for a southpaw is another southpaw.
Shit, the biggest enemy for a southpaw is the fucking right hand, dog.
Yeah, but I think that comes from a southpaw hand.
Shit, even a fucking left hook, if you got one like Oscar De La Hoya.
True.
But or Miguel Cotto. I mean, look what he fucking did to Sergio Martinez. Boom, just fucking check left hook to the temple and it was gone. But
yeah,
that's the only thing that I'm a little, kind of like skeptical about Frank Martin. I'm like, damn, right? Where are you gonna find a southpaw that can emulate someone like Shakur? And the reality is, I don't think there is one in those lower weight classes.
No, there isn't.
I know Canelo, when Oscar Valdez was prepping for Shakur Stevenson, he was fighting a guy, prepping for him. I forgot what his name, like Gio Lada or some shit like that. He was trying to do his best to replicate Shakur, and he looked actually quite good.
Really?
But yeah, man, it's gonna be really tricky for Frank Martin to find that type of fighter. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, because it showed he doesn't really have the ability to change up the game plan. Like he doesn't have another gear. Like I seen the same Martin the whole fight, and he
And
didn't.
I think that's where I disagree, Drew. Because remember what happened. Remember how that fight ended, and remember how it is that it ended. Frank Martin, uh, he, I think he knocked out his opponent or knocked him down.
yeah,
And
all around.
yeah, and why did it happen? Because the other guy was having so much success up until like the ninth round,
Mhm.
when all of a sudden Derek James told his ward, he said, "Hey, you have to win these fights.
Mhm.
You have to win these rounds." And from there, the more cautious, boxistic side of Frank Martin just went out the window. And then it was the come forward, uh, duke him up, you know, guy came forward and started just beating on this boy. He leveled up. He brought the pressure, and that's how he ended up knocking that guy down. In fact, he was about to stop him on the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. You see, so what I'm saying is there's definitely levels, and I don't think we've ever and different gears that he'll kick into. I don't think I've ever seen Shakur Stevens kick it into any other gears. I think he's always been the same kind of guy. Box you from the outside, use his physical attributes and his speed, his countering, his jab on the smaller fighters. So in that sense, I would say Shakur Stevens is excellent fighter against the smaller men. He knows how to use his physical advantages. And guess what? Frank Martin is a smaller man. And Frank Martin is, in fact, a way less experienced fighter, because that guy started his career uh, late in his life, like around 18 years of age or something to that effect.
Yeah.
So Shakur Stevens has way more experience, but Shakur Stevens fights the same way. Shakur Stevens knows every single trick in the book, except probably how to fight dirty, like Bernard Hopkins. I don't think he's a master of dirty boxing, although I do think he's a little dirty yet sometimes. Nonetheless, Frank Martin has a big challenge before him if that fight is a reality. Now, here's the thing, though. Uh, Frank Martin fights quite low. Like he assumes that the Philly shell, shoulder roll type thing going on, and he leans a little to the back. So that's just gonna make it a little harder for, say, Shakur Stevens to get anything on him, because he's really gonna have to like come forward to try and jab him or throw something wide to go over that shoulder roll and that shell. So hopefully, with that type of stance that Frank Martin would assume, hopefully that'll entice Shakur Stevens to come a little forward, thereby making it a bit closer for Frank Martin to come with something more explosive. But then again, I'm uncertain of how that'll all go about. I don't see it as something that Frank Martin is too much at a deficit against, because I don't think both of those guys have too much southpaw experience. But I believe that Frank Martin is not a chump, and he will, display his skill set also, because he is also a very skillful fighter and probably harder puncher than or equivalent puncher to Shakur Stevens.
Yeah, it's just seeing Frank Martin's last interview. He just didn't sound confident. Like trying to explain why he wasn't able to land that right hand. Like he just said, "I don't know," And I was just like, "Man, like I don't know. Your coach is supposed to have that answer, or something, And I just didn't feel that confidence and what I mean, I guess I didn't mean gears. I meant like his like where's the other tools that he has? Like he's not really showing too much ability, like besides what he's able to do great already. Shakur sometimes doesn't need to use certain tools in the toolbox, and he just manages to get the job done with the hammer, and sometimes, yeah, sometimes he fights the same way, but everyone struggles against it, and that's because he's just perfect, bro. He's perfect, masterful with his distance and everything. So yeah, it's just the only thing I question is the punch resistance that he has that hasn't really that I'm reaching on, and that he hasn't really been tested from the naked eye. You know.
Just a friendly reminder: on August 27th is National Cinema Day, where you can get $4 movie tickets.
I'm going to the movies tomorrow.
I said August 27th.
Oh, this weekend. I mean, when this weekend?
Absolutely, this
$4.
Sunday, National
$4.
Movie Day for $4. Take your family out. Take your significant other. Take yourself.
Yeah.
You got some pretty good, funny movies. Y'all should go to it, man.
You know which movie we're watching?
Blue Beetle.
No, Megalodon. Megalodon 2.
Nah, bro. You should go watch
He said
the Ninja Turtles, bro.
Really? Is that
Yeah,
good?
I want to go watch it. It's fucking funny and it's hella fun, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. And for $4, it's a steal. It's super good, bro. Like it's like, yeah. The only thing I didn't like is April O'Neil. She's supposed to be like hella fine, and in this movie, they made her hella nerdy, and they made her heavy set. And she's not supposed to be heavy set. You feel me?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What's her name again?
Nah.
What's
Just the Turtles, bro. The Turtles is gonna be a good ass movie.
Oh, I thought you meant like a chick.
Like yeah. The chick, the like in the original Ninja Turtle movies, she's white. She's super attractive. Like all the turtles love her. You know what I mean? They're like,
okay.
April, she smells so good, her perfume. Anyway, in this movie, which is like an animation film, they did completely opposite. It's diverse. But anyway, that's a really good movie. Blue Beetle sucked, but anyway, August 27th, National Movie Day, $4 tickets, bro. It's gonna be.
Hey, just to go back to the Frank Martin subject, I was looking at Frank Martin's last opponent's record or his resume, and this dude moved up from 140 or moved down from 140. I didn't know that.
Say that again.
His last opponent, Frank Martin's last opponent, Artem Harutin. Yeah. He came down from 140. I was like, wow.
Shit.
Yeah, so that's kind of impressive. He was fighting for IBO international belts out there in Germany. And I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive right there. Cuz some coming down from a bigger division. And yeah, man, whatever his record was before that, he was undefeated before. Oh yeah, he was 12-0 with 7 knockouts before Ryan's. Frank Martin. But yeah, pretty impressive, huh? I was trying to downplay that win from Frank, but then I was like, whoa, this kind of makes him look better, But yeah, from 140, pretty damn good. But nothing but Germans. That's all he's fought. So yeah, man, my bad. I didn't mean to switch the subject on you. I just kind of got into this little thing right here.
No, that's okay, because I was going to switch the subject again. I mean, we're trying to go full circle back to where, well, maybe not full circle, but about 50% of a circle. We discussed how Shakur Stevens basically sat around moping and waiting for other men to come and fight him, thinking that he was the hot shit where everybody just wanted to fight him for, I don't know. He doesn't he makes a lot of money himself, but it's not like it pays well to fight him. But nonetheless, the rumor has it that Lomachenko might be fighting George Kambosos. Now,
man,
here's the thing.
What an incredible fight!
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The thing is about that, right? Is that I thought that there was a lot of truth to that statement, because I really did imagine that the pride of Lomachenko would bar him from taking on another fight to make another man a star. Because we do know one thing, as a matter of fact, Devin Haney's allure as a champion and credibility completely grew exponentially because of that Lomachenko win. I mean, all of a sudden we had, I don't know, the people that believed that Devin Haney won which I really can't believe they're being honest to themselves. They really thought that all of a sudden Devin Haney won against Lomachenko, and that all of a sudden that meant that Lomachenko, that that Devin Haney was the best fighter around. Now, I do think there is some truth to that because, as you guys know, I am a big fan of Lomachenko. I think it takes a talented fighter to beat him, so that's why I say Devin Haney, who I don't think he beat him, but I think he did great against him, is going to be a great fighter, and so has Teofimo Lopez. They've proven that they are right now. I really thought that Lomachenko wouldn't take a fight like Shakur Stevens next, and that he would probably consider George Kambosos just to stick it to Bob Arum and Top Rank and say, "Hey, you guys screwed me over, and I'm gonna take easy fights on because you guys
He's already
robbed me
sparred
of my."
Shakur.
Yeah, he has sparred Shakur. But here's the thing: right now, I'm reading some of the boxing news of the day, and Bob Arum said this: the fact that they're talking about a fight with Loma and Cambosos is nonsense.
Oh
No,
my
so
god.
this is Bob Arum, Mr. Bob Arum, all right? He is
Yeah.
saying that the fact that they're talking about a fight with Loma and Cambosos is nonsense. Now,
Mhm.
that's the man who pays. You see,
Yeah.
if Bob Arum says that they're not fighting next, then they're not fighting next. That's just that. So I don't know what's going to happen with Lomachenko and George Kambosos, but I think if that's not the next fight, I would likely believe George Kambosos is going to fight Shakur Stevens next over Shakur Stevens fighting Frank Martin and crossing the street to fight a PBC fighter.
Yeah. I can't hear you, or Ricky. Um. Yeah. No. Sorry. I'm eating right now. But yeah, man.
What are
Shit's
you
getting
eating?
rough. I mean, tacos.
Oh
Yeah.
man, tacos of
Yeah.
like guts or brains or
No, I just
cheeks or
carne molida and I got some uh what's that stuff called? It's pico de gallo. The
ooh
pico de
yeah.
gallo and queso fresco and all the lechuga and all that.
You know
Yeah.
what? You know what happened over the weekend? We it was over the weekend was car week, right? So
Mhm.
uh, when we were driving out of town, I am from the city of Salinas, California. What occurred was that there's this little taco truck. In Spanish, they call them fayuca. So one of these fayucas was, he stations outside of ambulatory service provider. I don't know if it's Pinnacle or otherwise, but they provide urgent care, and it's called Tacos Pacheco. Tacos Pacheco La Volada, which
Uh,
means like in a jiffy, right? So
mm,
they make good tacos. Their sauces are not the hottest. They're flavorful. They're a little watery, so you can definitely get your tacos all covered in that sauce. They're not that hot, so I'm sure that that flavor caters to a majority of the people, because not a lot of people can eat hot stuff like me. Like I really go for the no jalokia. I go for the ghost peppers. I really mess around with that kind of stuff, right? But in case you like them a little hotter, they also throw in some toasted serranos. Now they're not the just run of the mill serranos that are like grass flavored. These are little spicy. So if drip all the sauce on all of your tacos, just cover them all up, and then you take a bite or two out of a jalapeno at the time. They're very good tacos. We had tongue tacos. We had guts tacos. We had head tacos. So that's part brains and part cheeks. Those were good. And then we had chorizo. It was
Teresa.
it, yeah, chorizo was good. The chorizo was good. I'm not a big fan of chorizo, but it was good. Um, and then of course the carne asada, which were fair and square. Now here's the thing. This is why I wanted to mention it. The
me.
price, guys. The price. They were $3 a pop. Once the lady rung us, we bought one for 23 tacos. and 4 Mexican sodas. You know how much it was? $69. I was like, yo, you're selling $3 tacos, $3 Mexican sodas, and you don't even pay like rent because you only have like this little. You just park anywhere, right? And then you can go to any other tacos spot, and they'll sell them for 250, maybe three, but they're paying rent for the establishment that they're taking up. And then these guys were just selling off of the food truck $3 a pop, and I was like, "Yo, you guys are screwing me over, son." Man, I won't eat tacos. If I'm gonna eat tacos, I'm gonna kill the cow and make it myself. 70 buck tacos. I don't know. Man, life is getting expensive, guys. Start saving your money. You know what I mean? Do what Drew does. Eat ground beef tacos with pico. Pico taco.
Tico tacos, bro. Tico tacos.
Tico taco. Yep. That's another place there in Salinas. Actually, you know what? That thing's been there since I was a kid. Easily 40 years. And you know what? I've never been. It's like you know a person is from Salinas if they've never actually taken a boat ride in Monterey, if they never actually gone to the California rodeo grounds. Like so many natives that just don't enjoy what there's out there. It's crazy. What about you, homie Ricky? What you been up to? What you eat?
I don't know. My girl made me some spaghetti with rice and little pollito. It was good. So it was like a mix of like three things, but it was like in a little bowl, so it was delicious. I haven't ate tacos in a minute. I'm trying to stay away from meat, like red meat, but I'll eat chicken. But yeah, that's pretty much what I ate today and yesterday. Yesterday, I think it was tilapia with rice, like this tilapia that we buy from Costco, and then a little Caesar salad. So it's pretty good. But yeah, I haven't ate tacos. I've been wanting to try out this fayuca over here with where they make I don't know, quesadillas. Everything is with birria nachos, but I don't know, man.
I don't like this. I don't like birria.
Why?
Overrated. I don't know. When because I know how to make birria. When I make birria, well, I never really factored in the juice, the caldo as part of the meal. Now I know in some parts of Mexico they make it as like a broth or a soup, so they give you the little juice, and then they put the meat in there. That's how they eat it. They dice up some onion, some cilantro, and they eat it almost like what I imagine to be like pasoli, right? But when I used to make it, I would just take off the juice and just leave the meat already drenched and covered in that, and just chop it up and then make it into tacos, which I guess is the same thing. Just the only difference is the degree of juice that you're eating with every bite. But after a while, I just got bored of it. And then I think what really killed it for me is that birria caught on very, very quick. Like all of a sudden, everybody's selling birria. Even Taco Bell is selling equivalent of birria, but they're smart though. Yeah, they do. Yeah, you didn't know that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so check this out. They make a shredded beef.
Yo, what's this have to do with Shakur? Nah, just fucking keep going, bro.
Well, so they make this shredded beef that's the same kind of caldo, the same kind of broth as birria, but they don't call it birria. They call it shredded beef, right? And then what they do is they drench this taco in that red stuff, then they crunch the taco, and then they throw cheese in it. So for all intents and purposes, it really is trying to imitate quesabirria. And then if that was not enough, they give you a little, like a container of like I don't know, like enchilada sauce, so that you can dip in. Now, I'm not a big fan of quesadillas, but I do know that some people will sell you quesadilla with birria meat in there and a cup, and you dip it in there. So it's basically a quesadilla, bro. Like you should try it, and it's like the whole craze right now. Taco Bell quesadilla.
No, that sounds great.
This guy. No, no. It's called a grilled cheese dipping taco. There you go.
Mm.
Grilled cheese dipping taco. And it's on sale. You get that, and you get that, and you get like a chalupa or something like that, and a drink for like $5. Not a bad deal. Maybe $6.
So
All right,
talking about
Ricky.
Liam Wilson, he's actually fighting this weekend.
Dude, I was
Yo.
gonna say the exact same thing right now. You read
Well,
my
actually,
mind.
he's not fighting this weekend. He's fighting on the 23rd. He's fighting tomorrow, bro.
Yeah, there's
What?
there's fights tomorrow.
He fights against this Argentinian named Carlos Maria Alanis.
I put that bet down already.
And so I was watching a little bit as you guys were talking. Now I'm checking out this guy's resume. I'm looking at his latest fight on YouTube, and he's okay. I think Liam Wilson should win,
Yeah, he should.
right? But he might win by decision. And if you put money on decision, it's plus 120. If you're feeling funky and a little risky, I don't think Alanis is going to knock out Liam Wilson. He might beat him. And if he does,
The distance.
plus 650. Right.
Just put it goes the distance. Yes.
And if it goes the distance, because I don't think he's knocking out Liam Wilson. Based on what I've seen, this guy, all he has is a jab. You know, he's got a good little stance, but nothing where I'm like, okay, this guy hits or is crafty or is a volume puncher like Navarrete. But I'm like, yeah, maybe, you know, if he goes the distance and he wins, you know, you're up plus 1,100, bro. That's 11-1 odds, bro, against an undefeated fighter.
That's great.
That's not bad, bro. Hold on, I gotta check on something.
And
Wilson,
also
amateur record.
Ricky, I was gonna tell you about the new addition to the Canelo fight. Did you hear about it?
Say again.
The newest card. The newest card to.
Are you talking about Ugas Barrios?
No,
Keep talking while you're talking.
No, this new one. The one I already told you guys about Lubin and the Barrios fight. There's another one though.
Hey, bro, your mic's pretty low, bro. Is there a
Is
way
it?
to like clear that shit up?
How about now?
Way better.
Okay, my bad.
So,
my volume.
I
was
think
gonna tell you-
Ugas is in there.
Yeah, no, it's Ugas, Barrios, and then Lubin, Ramos for the co-main. But there's one before that. Those two.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Ricky, do you remember a dude named Elijah Garcia?
Oh yeah. He's fucking fighting that dude Resendez, bro.
Yup.
Yeah, that's a good ass fucking fight. I got Resendez, bro. The
Me
way he
too.
fucking beat Jarrett Hurd.
Yup. Me too. That's what I'm fucking.
Elijah Garcia lost that last fight, bro.
He did. That's why.
He
That's why I
won
was
that
pissed
shit.
because I bet against him and I was like, "Fuck, he lost that shit." You know. I was about. He costed me $200. No, I'm just kidding. But
Selena. Zendaya Selena.
that's what Ricky says when people when fighters lose money for him. He's like, he costed me $200. I'm like, bro, did you put down $200? He goes, no, but I was about to win it. I'm
Nah,
like,
Speed owes me like 5,000, dog. Bro,
then he
I told him that Tim Tszyu was gonna knock out Carlos Ocampo in the first round, and he goes, "Bro, don't be fucking stupid, bro."
Man, I felt like I felt like shit.
It happens, dog.
damn.
Yeah, no, he would look that day, right? We were watching fights together, and we started early because we had been watching like the UK fights because we're, because who doesn't have the zone? So we have the zone, right? And we watch the UK fights or international fights, Japanese fights. We have MMA, everything. And then me and this guy get together so we can watch the fight. So I go, okay. The undercard started like around 10 o'clock in the morning, Saturdays. The main event starts at maybe 9 o'clock in the morning. By 11 o'clock, the main event is starting. So we're watching all these fights from all day. And he's what is it called when you do like a
parlay?
A parlay. So he does a parlay. So he picks like 5 or 6 different fights, right? And you have to get them all right. And he wins one of those things. And he has like, I don't know, 1,700. He started like with $30 or whatever, right?
Damn.
So yeah, no, he won big. So I was like, yo, he said, "What if I bet like on a one run knockout?" Too soon, I was like, "Dude, what are you talking about? Like, are you ridiculous? Like, how's he gonna do that? Like, you're disrespecting this fighter." And he's like, "No, man, I'll just put it." But here's the thing: he wanted to put it all or nothing. So I was like, "Look, bro, that's stupid. You started with $30. You have like 1,700. You want to gambit all of it just for a one? But like,
How much
who
was
would
that
have
one
thunk
you?
it?
Hold on, let me give you guys an example. So just to be more specific, so
It was
on
like $5,000.
Oh wow.
June 17th, right? Let me just give you guys a refresher. Oh man, I got to sneeze. I put $20, and it was a
Screen share.
fight parlay. Give me a second.
Bless you. You just sneezed?
Gentlemen. Okay,
Sorry about that.
before we go on, listen. I gotta say something, right?
Damn.
We have had some interactions from some of our listeners. We had Mr. Vince Vargas come by, and he was having a dialogue. He mentioned the Hector Macho Camacho. We had Ang Holloway talking about Ashanti and Alicia. And I know that Ricky was engaging him. Listen, our few listeners that entertain us and listen to us ramble about all things boxing, knowing that they have likely a life of their own, doing all kinds of other things, and still bother to take the time, they have to be addressed, guys. If anybody comments, we have to respect them and just, you know, pay them, interact with them. So if somebody says something, let's give him a little shout out. Mr. Vince Vargas says he watched the Macho Man. He always had badass trunks. And yeah, man, that guy, okay. So Hector Macho Camacho, he was from the rough streets of New York. I don't know, Spanish Harlem or something. He was just a tough street gangster, and he suffered a very violent death once he retired from the sport. He went to the island of Puerto Rico, where all of his family was from, and I don't know if he was, involved in with some local riffraff, but something happened where he was in what is assumed to be a drug deal. He was with another feller there inside of a vehicle, and there was allegedly, but there was cocaine there, and somebody walked up to their car and shot them both and killed Hector Macho Camacho. Got not allegedly. I think somebody shot him.
Okay. I just don't want you to get sued.
Oh yeah. No, this is true. Like he got shot. So rest in peace to that champion. And definitely he was an entertainer. If you guys ever want to watch some entertaining fights, you watch Hector Macho Camacho fight anybody, and then you also watch El Marromero Paez, who was, believe it or not, a clown from the nation state of Mexico. He was a clown, like a real legitimate clown in the circus. And because he was very funny and moved a lot like Cantinflas and those kind of funny dancer types, he took up boxing, and he was very playful in the ring, a little like Roy Jones Jr., where they're like drunken masters, very they flow with their hands, and they just throw crazy punches from everywhere, and they actually beat quite a lot of notable fighters that was in the days when people were fighting up to 80-90 fights in their career. So you'll see a bunch of film on these guys, very entertaining, but of course they also had a lot of losses because they seem to fight every 2 months. So yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Vince, for remembering Hector Macho Camacho. His contribution to the sport will never be forgotten. And as far as Ang Holloway, he says Mary J., which I assume is Mary J. Blige, and Alicia, which I would assume would be Alicia Keys, who is more beautiful. I don't know if that's boxing related.
And you're married. Just kidding.
Yeah, I know. Hey, but who would? Hey, if those two put on the gloves, who wins though?
Probably Alicia, because she has She plays the piano, so more muscle memory. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So, hey, Ricky, sorry about my interjection, but proceed. Tell us the story about how it messed up your pocket, bro.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah. So anyway, I was about to turn $20 into essentially $7,000 in one night, all in
Jesus.
one day. There was 3 fights happening. There was fights on DAZN. There was fights on in Australia. There was a lot of action going on. Right on June 17th. Now let me remind the audience. This is when Regis Prograis had signed with DAZN, and he was fighting his first fight against Danielito Sorria, right?
Mm.
And then Ramla Ali, she gets knocked out by Julissa Alejandra Guzman, a Mexican.
Upset, right?
Yeah, upset. The odds were plus $800
You told me
and
that one too.
plus $500 for Regis Prograis to win by decision. Now, in my head, I was thinking to myself, you know what, bro? I put $100 deposit into this Bovada account, and I made a $20 parlay, a 2-bet, and I put Regis Prograis to win by decision because I had something told me that he might knock down Sorria, because everybody was banking that Regis was gonna win by knockout, not by decision. I was like, nah, Danielito knows how to survive. And he ended up circling, making it a very boring round. Essentially, it showed that Regis doesn't know how to cut off the ring.
Mm-hmm.
But the fight gave me a lot of hope in terms of my bet, because I put Julissa Alejandra Guzman, who was plus 800. She was an 8-1 underdog
Damn.
against Ramla Ali. Ramla Ali is, I believe, a female fighter that's trained by Manny Robles.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking the night before. I was laying in bed. I was doing my studying, and I was like, you know what? Jalissa can catch her. She's tough. She's sturdy. She's got good fundamentals. She's not too fast or particularly too strong, but she does throw a lot of punches. And her 2 losses, I'm like, bro, she could have easily won. In fact, I thought she did win. She was landing much more. It's just like she has punch technique, but she might have been outworked. And I was like, you know what? Ramla Ali stands very upright, and she looks to be very chinny. Well, guess what? Jalissa ends up knocking her out. So I win that bet. And I'm just crossing my fingers, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, Danielito, bring it home for me, bro. Anyway, Regis ends up winning. That's who I go for. But by decision, he ends up beating him by points. I won $1,060 off $3, right? A 2-fight parlay. So I'm like, I'm feeling a little lucky. I'm excited. I'm like, yes, let's go. And then there's another fight before the Tim Tszyu versus Carlos Ocampo. There's a fight between Sam Goodman versus Raheem Alim or Reese Alim. And I put $50 to win 137.
Damn.
Sam Goodman ends up winning by decision, so I pocket another 200. So basically, I turned $20 to 1,500. I'm almost down to the story. So then I'm telling my brother, you know what, bro? I'm feeling a little risky. I think Carlos Ocampo is gonna get knocked out in the first round. And at first, my brother was like, bro, shut the fuck up, bro. This ain't gonna happen, bro. Like, count your blessings, just stay humble, just relax. And I'm like, bro, I am. Carlos Ocampo is very flawed, and he keeps his chin up in the air. And they're talking about a fucking Mexican war going all out. Tim Tszyu's gonna beat this fucking dude like under 3 rounds. My brother's like, well, then he put something, for like under 6. And then I'm like, nah, bro, I know he's gonna knock him out in the first round. And he goes, well, you're fucking stupid. He's telling me all this shit.
You said that?
And the first 30 seconds, bro, he lands, I think, a right hand or a left hook and just sleeps him. And I'm just looking at him like, damn. And I keep all these receipts because I screenshot like the victories. I screenshot moments of the year just to kind of remind me what the highlight of the year was. That was a highlight. I'm like, damn, bro, I could have won $5,000.
You still won, though.
Essentially $20.
You still won a lot of money, though.
When Brian Castano, yeah, dude, a lot of money. And Brian Castano, that could have fixed up my fucking El Camino, bro.
True.
Anyway, Brian Castano versus Jermell Charlo, the first fight, I told my parents, watching it with them. I'm like, hey, guys, should I put money on a draw? I like Brian Castano. I think he's going to give Charlo a tough fight. They told me the same thing. It's like, no seas pendejo, mijo. Las peleas nunca van a los empates. Basic translation is, don't be stupid, son. They never go to draws, The first fight is a fucking draw. And I'm like, bro, my family's costing me like $7,000 already.
Damn.
Heartbreaking.
Bro, you should just go all out next time. Next time you win over $1,000, you need to just go with what you feel. And then if you lose that 1,000, at least you made 1,000 before, you know?
Yeah, so
Next
this might
time.
be one of the situations. So for instance, I'm thinking about doing a 2-fight parlay, and I'm thinking Carlos Maria Alanis is gonna upset Liam Wilson. I think Liam Wilson will knock him out. But for instance, if any of the audience here has a Bovada account, put Carlos Alanis to win by decision plus 1100, and then put Joel Gonzalez plus 425 to beat Venado Lopez. Okay, Luis Alberto Lopez, he's a fucking monster. I don't know where he got this. Ever since he's beaten Gabe Flores, he's gone on a rampage of just fighting and beating dudes like Mike Conlon, Josh Warrington. He's incredible. Anyway, if you do a 2-fight parlay, Alanis to upset Liam Wilson, who is the guy that dropped Emmanuel Navarrete, and Joey Gonzalez, and you risk $10,
How much does that win you?
that gets you $600. If
Bro,
you're feeling risky, bet $20, you win 1,240.
If you win that, Germ,
Yeah, let me see if I can pull this shit up. Hold on, give me a second.
Warp Speed.
I'll do
Warp
some
Speed.
screen sharing so you guys can understand a little bit.
Warp Speed. If Ricky wins, make a short out of it. Make a short and prove everyone that we know what we're talking about.
No. Wait. No.
If we get it right. If we get it right.
Look, I don't want to take no credit here. Look, the fact of the matter is this, right? You said let's make a video, screenshot it, just to prove that we're right. I'll tell you the honest truth. Me and this guy, we argue every day about
you guys
boxing.
actually hold on. Let me tell this. You guys get along on.
Hold on, give me a second. Let me show you guys this shit.
You guys always argue when I'm with you guys. Like to the audience that is listening, there is another side of this relationship, and it's very back and forth.
Oh, it's very acerbic. It's a very toxic relationship.
Yeah, I never have a chance to talk. This is like the best, time I can talk isn't this. Because I just let him have it. I just let him have it.
Yeah, and I feel bad for you because I know that you probably have your own opinions, but me and this guy have this like rivalry about who's right about boxing. It's been going on for generations, decades. So it's like it's
Ricky will be like, are you stupid?
Yeah, I've actually stopped talking to him for a few months too.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, no, I actually, to tell you the honest truth, we still do talk about boxing, but we don't talk about, how do I say, we don't talk about boxing like we do now. Like I think like now this is perfect because I think. See, here's the thing, right? When you develop a rivalry with somebody, for a while, you find ways to antagonize them and to come up, right? Like there's a comeuppance between me and this guy. So I'll find a way to niggle and bother him. And I don't think he does the same thing. I don't think he's trying to bother me. I just know that he knows it bothers me, right? But when we go live, like there's stuff that I would never say because it's really not very
appropriate.
Yeah, it's not very appropriate. Like I would never talk the way I do here, so that the world could judge me. When I'd rather keep it private and tell him in person.
Yeah.
But you know what? I love it because yesterday we were discussing, right? We were trying to think about what we should talk about. 2 days ago, we were discussing because we didn't go live yesterday because we sort of disagreed on what we wanted to talk about. So I said, nah, I don't like that topic. And he was steadfast that he wanted to talk about it. I go, look, I'm not going to do that. I'm not interested. I'll just, throw some fastballs or whatever, and you could go solo. Maybe hit Drew up. But he said something about you. And And I said I actually love it because you're the guy who like
I'm the ref.
well, you're like, how do I say it, right? Obviously the homie Ricky is
Look,
much more
dude,
correct
don't
about
believe what he's
everything.
saying, bro. He called you a casual dog.
Me?
You see
No,
that?
no. No. I said this. The
Now,
homie
you said
Ricky.
that you had a casual voice.
No, no. Yeah,
No.
yeah. I said the homie Ricky is
Let me be
obviously
his
the
friend too.
more. Yeah, he's the more knowledgeable, sharper one of us. And then
No,
I'm the one
Yeah.
who knows.
true. I fucking mumble left and right.
Yeah,
You
but
mumble left.
yeah, but
Yeah,
you contain this information better than I do. Like
yeah, yeah. Exactly.
I probably know a lot of facts, but what I do is I screenshot it. And when I told you guys about Elijah Garcia, it was not off the top. I was looking at my screenshots and it reminded me. And that's what you're good at. It'll pop up in your head,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
without, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, but see, here's the thing, Drew. Don't be worried about using box recs or cross referencing
no, just to
the
remind me.
sources out there. Yes, exactly. But don't be afraid of admitting that you use box rec as a tool of your argumentation, because that's what these things are for. It's like when you go to college and you write a report, you cross reference information, and it's just part of it. Like I wouldn't dare to write a report about, let's say, you know, uh, the differences between determinism and predeterminism as a philosophical topic, because then I would be like, how am I gonna use uh, any valid differences between one another to make my argument if I don't cite some sources? So it's just natural for you to cite sources. I use them all the time. But yeah, homie Ricky shoots from the hip, and he can because he has it all in his brain. Me, I don't have nothing in my brain. I really don't. That's why probably I'm the more emotional, uh, irrational,
Yeah, I don't know
uncontrollable
what you
one.
guys are trying to get at, but what do you guys think about Oscar? Not Oscar. Canelo Alvarez, right? He's been. I guess he
This
went on the
fucking
Breakfast
guy.
Club, right? A podcast on the Breakfast Club, and he's been saying he didn't say much, but he goes, I think Canelo has. I think Oscar has a lot of issues. He's not the person he shows himself to be. And there was a quote that he said that was really interesting to me. He goes, if we're the only ones that stayed with him when everybody left him. They went over to PBC because I'm loyal. I treat everybody like family. I do the same thing with Golden Boy, but I don't think he's that kind of person. I don't know if he's a good person or not, but he's not the person he shows. He's all business. I will never forget what he said. You need to give them a little taste so they can come back for more. When I heard that, I took it to heart. A lot of things I don't want to talk a lot about him. What do you think he's referring to?
I have
In
no
that
idea.
context of you got to give these fighters a little taste and essentially what strip them away of that glory, or is that like a reference to cocaine? Oh,
They've
let
got
me introduce you to a little cocaina, and
who
then
said that?
just get you hooked up on it, and then boom. Is that like a
Who
Wow.
said
you
that?
know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think
Man, I don't
Canelo was
know.
referring to that, bro? Because the reason, you know what, I don't even. You guys want to talk about this tomorrow? Because that's like a different live. You feel me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
because I'm
that
still
is alive
lost.
in and of itself.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and I still don't know who you're talking about.
So no, it's some comments that
Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I didn't
he
hear that
said
part.
that that Oscar is not, that he has a lot of issues and he's not the person he shows himself to be. In other words, he's insinuating that the Golden Boy, he presents a facade, that he plays a game of charades, and that he's quite different to the person that he shows the world he is to be. But in reality, um, that's okay. You know why? Because I don't think anybody really wants to entertain the idea of how Oscar De La Hoya probably is. I don't want to entertain that.
They've
Um,
already, because we've already seen the ugly part of him, and at this point, nothing really surprises us as boxing fans. Like what he does to or what he says to his fighters, it's obvious that it's the drugs, bro. I mean, for the
Yeah.
people that who actually know what's up, like they know his judgment is getting clouded by that white, uh, and he's in a rare position because he's a former fighter, he's a Hall of Famer, and all this, and he's owns the like the biggest one of the biggest promotional companies in the game right now, and he's the most successful boxers of all time, and this dude thinks that all that can exceed over exceed like how he talks to people and all this shit. So
He's
I
the
think I
only
think he
boxer
takes.
in the history of boxing that's not only won a gold medal, has been an amazing professional fighter,
Mhm.
and is the only fighter that became a promoter with a top tier promotional company. No one
Yeah,
else has done that. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I think that right there gets to his head a little bit, and he puts on his fighter hat on, not his promoter fight on, or and and I'd gain a lot more uh respect from him if if he would actually act like a boss, like act and treat these people with respect, because and it's also funny how he talks to like Ryan and all that, because he's like, what did he say when he was when Ryan was with Mayweather? He said, wish you the best or something like that. Like he's a little hater, bro, and he gets in
Well,
in his emotions, and
got you. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't think so. At least when it comes down to Ryan Garcia didn't listen to Oscar.
mm,
You see, Oscar and them, they had I think we should talk about this tomorrow.
yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
I mean,
do it.
because there's a lot to say that I want to talk about, and I don't want to like muddle it with this topic of Shakur. But I guess we'll just save it tomorrow, bro.
Yeah, two
You
hours.
guys deal with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's just do me a big favor, yeah. If you're gonna go live, let me know when you're gonna go live and give give me a 5 minute countdown. Don't just start going live and then have me miss the whole introduction and then me having to try and
But
put the pieces together.
You're
that's gonna be
telling
the
me what
subject
to do,
tomorrow,
bro?
right?
Yeah, I am telling you because if I'm gonna be your guest, I should know what the hell you want me to talk about. Like, I
Okay,
mean,
now, if you knock at my house, I don't have to open the door to you. If you knock at the house and I'm not there, you have to wait for me to be there, not the other way around. So I will send you the invite and then go live. What are you talking about, bro? Not joking, dog.
what the hell is good?
I'm fucking around, guys. Nah, bro. Yeah, I always
That's the
do
subject,
that.
right?
I send you guys text notifications like fucking 10 minutes, 30-minute countdowns, and then you guys don't even fucking respond until like I'm 10 minutes into the video, dude. Like, what are you guys talking about, bro? It's ridiculous. Nah,
Man, I'm practicing my home run swing. What's wrong with you?
but I'm just saying, like, it's announced, like, I letting you know. Nah, I'm just
Seven
fucking around, guys. Yeah,
7:30
man. On
tomorrow,
that
right?
note, have a good night, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in and just,
That's the
being
subject
here with
tomorrow,
us
right?
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, subject tomorrow for sure. So that'll
All right.
be
Liam Wilson fights tomorrow. I believe they're fighting in Australia, so I'm not
ooh.
sure what time are the scheduled bouts. Let alone what like network it's gonna be on, But I guess if you have like a VPN, you can probably like stream it off like an
They
Australian
they
network.
start at noon. They start
We
at noon.
don't do that.
Well,
Okay, let's do this. It's right there. These are the fights for tomorrow. Okay. Uh are you sure there's fights tomorrow?
yeah, it says the 23rd.
22nd.
No, there's also 22nd, which is today.
Oh,
And that's
Excuse me.
supposed to be Nikita Sue. So there is because again, it's wherever they're fighting in New Zealand or Australia, there's like a 14, 12-hour difference.
Tim Zoo's
Uh,
sister.
You know what I mean? So Nikita Sue, Tim Sue's brother, he's fighting Jack Brubaker.
I said his
And
sister.
then at midnight for us, Liam Wilson is fighting Carlos Maria Alanis.
What would his alias be for his name? If right now you didn't know, Carlos Maria. What?
I guessing if he's fighting Liam Wilson, they have to be.
I don't see that, guys.
Well,
I don't see that.
I'm checking it on Bovada.
Oh, okay. No,
That's
so
on.
there. So see, the thing about Bovada is that Bovada does all the fights from all over the world, but
Yeah.
doesn't mean they're necessarily broadcast, right? So
Yeah.
For the
so
most
like
part, they have to have some type of following for them to even be aware of it. Because, like, if I look at the Thompson boxing when they were like doing their lives on Facebook and streaming their fights, they were never up there up for grabs. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, Jorge Maravillo, when he fought over here, like in Santa Ana or some shit down south in California, under the promotional banner of Tom Loeffler, the promoter of Triple G, they didn't show those fights. They didn't have them here for bet. So you have to have them be televised somewhere for them to even be up.
yeah, but I don't think they're here televised in the U.S. because I'm looking at the boxing scene and I'm also looking at ESPN, and they don't have them announced. The ones that they have here in the states are, of course, going to be Saturday's fights between Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois. But that's going to be a very interesting topic to discuss. On Saturday, also Jared Anderson, Big Baby versus Andrei Rudenko. Uh, I think I may know who Rudenko is, and of course that's going to be an ESPN event. Wow, Oscar Collazo versus Garen Diagon. All of those are in the Zone, ESPN, and what is probably going to be ESPN, but over there in the UK, so it's going to be like I don't know, Queensbury or Sky TV or something like that. There is a lot of boxing this Saturday, guys. Incredible. We can you can go live tomorrow if you think you can. You have a VPN to, you know, get the channel, but I don't think it'll be stateside.
Well, I know that's what VPN is. It allows you to redirect and use like another.
It allows you to teleport, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
exactly what
So
you're able to do. So you're able to use if someone gives you like a login, you can log in into their like provider and then watch it. It's like a quick.
I like to do it the
I'm not too
old-fashioned way.
sure.
I'll just catch an airplane flight to Australia
Or
tomorrow.
like for instance, let's say we all live in the United States, right? Let's just say for example, and we wanted to watch Terrence versus Errol Spence. It's $80 pay per view or $100. Let's say somewhere like Japan might get it for free. So if you have that device, you can log in like if you're in a Japanese resident and then get that fight for free rather than paying $100. You know what I'm saying?
Man, why are you dropping gems like that, bruh?
Because we are consumers.
Broke.
Yeah,
Broke. How are you gonna be a consumer if if you're getting shit for free? How the fuck is that a consumer, man? Get
bro.
out of here.
What? That's how you're
That's
supposed
the
to do it, man.
that's the equivalence of panhandling.
No, it's not. I'm not in the sun. I'm not in the open. All right, guys. On that
Anyways,
note, man, have a good night. I'll see you
yeah.
after. Yeah.
Yeah. Payday. You want payday, Drew?
Payday.
Okay. Good night, guys.
Night. What the fuck, man?